What's up everyone, how are you all? Today we are back with another blazing Naruto story. If you enjoy then please like, share and do comments. Naruto's life was full of regrets. Regretting of his weakness. Regretting lives he took. Regretting leaving his best friends. Regretting of never telling the person he loved of how much he cares for her. He had those regrets for quite a while. He nor anybody right now could forgive him. You wonder why? Because he was going to sacrifice himself to save his friends, love of his life and thousands of people. On his way to save people around, his life was flashing right before his eyes, so he decided to relive his life once again, before ending it. So Naruto decided to go with the mother memories that she passed on to him. Only those important to in her life and to the whole world history. His mother name was Kushina Uchiha, member of infamous Uchiha clan. His father name was Minato Senju, member of the famous Senju clan. Both clan was in war for many decades, before the clan heads, also great-grandfathers of Naruto, Madara Uchiha, and Hashirama Senju ended the war. They also created a shinobi system and hidden ninja villages. Oh yes, they were ninjas. But not normal ninjas so well know us. Unlike our ninjas, they had, how to put it, superpowers. Yes, this word would be correct. They had abilities to control all elements, walk on water or anything they wanted and many other things. After some time, Madara wanted to achieve peace by placing everyone on infinite Tsukuyomi, the endless dream. To do that, he needed all tail beasts, which were created by the founder of Ninja Creed, Sage of Six Paths. He gave ninjas the chakra, a source of their superpowers. Hashirama stopped him before gathering the beasts. He had no other choice to kill him. But that didn't stop Madara. He used a secret jutsu to resurrect himself and choose to obtain eyes of the sage. The Rinnegan. To do that he needed his chakra to be mixed with Hashirama's. Which he did and in old age, before his death he obtained them. He created a being called Black Zetsu, which he ordered to gather a team of most powerful ninjas. With that, he gave his eyes to Zetsu, who had to choose a hoster for the eyes, that who would resurrect him later. Many decades passed and heirs of both clan were born. His parents. For the first few years, they were rival, before ending up in the same team. During that time they both get stronger together and little did they know that fate had special plans for them. During their missions, Kushina accidentally unleashed some of Nine Tails chakra, the strongest of tail beast. After the death of Madara, Hashirama gave each village tail beast to look after them. But people believed that they are weapons, which only they could use. In the end, on the mission, only Minato was able to stop her with his Fuinjutsu. After this whole thing, it became their personal secret that only they knew, which also helped her unlock the last stage of her Sharingan, the Mangekyo Sharingan. That makes them get closer to each other and they fell in love. After some time, a group of S-ranked ninjas known as Akatsuki raised and they were researching for tail beasts. During that time, Kushina had to get control over the power of Nine Tails, but she was also under the training of one of most powerful ninjas around, Jiraiya the Toad Sage. Minato wasn't left behind as he was training with his mother, Tsunade Senju. Akatsuki was able to gather most of the beats, aside from Nine Tails and Eight Tails. Then Great Shinobi War started and all villages had to join forces to stop Akatsuki. The hoster of Rinnegan, Nagato Uzumaki brought Madara to life and then he was killed. Madara got his eyes back and absorbed all tail beast he gathered. With that, he becomes the new Sage of Six Paths. Then he gave a fatal blow to Kushina and Minato. They pulled out and saved by the real Sage of Six Paths. For some reason, he was still alive, but it wasn't time to explain that. Hagoromo, the sage told the original story of how his mother wanted to rule the world, by using chakra. He and his brother Hamura stopped her and sealed her up in the moon. His brother went to look after their mother and he started a new life. Hagoromo had two sons Indra and Ashura, the founders of Uchiha and Senju. The sage said that their great-grandfathers were the reincarnations of his sons, while Kushina and Minato were current ones. Only they could co-stop Madara right now. So Sage gave them his power and warned them that they should end this quickly because Madara was getting stronger by a minute. Kushina was gifted with Rinnegan in her right eye, while Minato was given his great-grandfather Mokuton, the wood release. After returning to the real world, they started once again their battle with Madara. They were getting the upper hand before suddenly Black Zetsu appeared and betrayed Madara. He pierced his chest with his bare hand. That makes Madara's hairs start to grow and cover his entire body. With small shock wave, his hair becomes white and it was revealed to be Kaguya under that hair, with Zetsu in her kimono sleeve. His parents were quite scared, but with their newfounded powers, Kushina and Minato knew they can defeat her. The fight took many hours, but they came up with an idea. They knew about her love for her children, they decided to use it. Minato went forward and used transformation jutsu and shadow clone jutsu to make it look like Hagoromo and Hamura were here. That distracted her for a second, which gave Minato a chance to punch her hard in the face. Kushina used that chance to use her new power to teleport Kaguya between her and Minato. With Flying Thunder God Kunai, they quickly teleported to Kaguya and placed a seal on her, which made her return to the moon once again. After the battle and freeing everyone from Tsukuyomi, both Kushina and Minato decided that it would be wiser to erase everyone's memory of chakra and everything that happened, creating new memories for them. Kushina used her 6 paths chakra to power up her Koto Amatsukami, which was granted by her Mangekyo Sharingan. She erased everyone's memory of everything happened until now and about her and Minato. Both lovers decided to become guardians of the world. But there was one problem. Since they wanted to protect their world and not allow their children to be put in such a dangerous, they needed to become immortal. They spent many years to crack the code, but they couldn't find anything. Once they turned 29, Kushina got pregnant. On the day they learned that a shooting star landed on the Earth. A little worried, they've decided to check it out. They found it a crater, where star landed and saw a bright orange gem in the big rock. It was emitting some unknown type of energy. Minato for some reason knew that this might help them. So they took a gem and find out its power after many days. The gem could control time and space at the same time. It was very dangerous to mess with something this powerful, but they were able to draw some power from it and infused it with their formula to become immortal. They've done it. They've cracked the code, they become immortals. It was time to Naruto to be born. It was quite dangerous because the seal was getting weaker each day, since pregnancy. But Kushina, with help of Minato and new trusted friend, she was able to deliver him. But Minato decided to split Nine Tails chakra into 2 halves, which one he gave Naruto. Kushina wasn't very fond of the idea, but there wasn't anything she could do. She wasn't a seal master. 35 years of our era. During his first 5 years of life, Naruto was living like a normal boy, aside from being immortal. Little Naruto was playing with other kids before he and his parents were changing homes. It's been 150 years and Naruto was still 5 years old, but he really wasn't seeing this. For him, time was passing normally. Once he turned 6, his parents decided to start his training. They were doing it quite slowly since there wasn't any rush. For him, he was training for 3 years, but in reality, it was 500 years. 560 year of our era. Naruto Ultimate Ninja Storm Ost Sand Ripples in the Wind. Naruto was getting back from his playtime with his current friends. He and his parents were living in the woods far away from Rome. But he could travel via ninja style, by jumping from tree branch to tree branch. After some time, a blonde-haired boy with 3 whiskers saw a huge smoke coming from where his house was. Feeling the worst, he used Shunshin no Jutsu and teleported in front of the house, or where his house once stood. There was nothing more and pieces of the house around. He starts to look for his parents and he saw them next to each other in the pool of blood. He jumped toward them with tears in his eyes. "Mommy, Daddy," he cried. "What happened? Who did this to you?" "Naru-chan," whispered his mother. "It's good that you save. We don't know how to explain this to you, but something from otherworld attacked us," said his father with a small smile. "Listen to us. Remember the place in the mountain where are we training?" "Yes," he replied while looking at their wounds. "Does it hurt?" "Not anymore, sweetheart," replied Kushina. "There is a special rock with seal on it. Use your blood to open it," added Minato for Kushina. "Naruto, we don't have much time, so this will be goodbye." "No, please don't leave me. I can't live without you," Naruto screamed through his tears. "I'm too weak. Please don't leave." At that, Kushina started to cry too. "That's not true," said his father. "You're stronger than you think. You need to carry our will and protect this world from any harm. Please live for us, Naruto. If you can, find happiness in this world. Okay, he asked, and after a second he nodded. Until now they saw that Naruto's eyes changed from usual blue color to blood red, to Tomo in each eye. Kushina smiled as she touched his son's cheek. Your daddy's right. Naru-chan, you're stronger than you think. Slowly she starts to close her eyes. But she used the last strength to change her eyes into Mangekyo, A.N. She has Itachi Mangekyo Sharingan pattern. She lost her Rinnegan eye because she used its power to keep Minato and her alive to say goodbye to their only son. If you'll ever gain these eyes, Naru-chan, then you'll have swift years with mine. Minato-kun, if you will. Minato nodded and quickly used his remaining strength to take Kushina's eyes and place them in a vial, which he handed to Naruto. Young Uchiha Senju was scared by the sight, but the smile of his mother was calming him. Don't worry, there are scrolls how to do it. You'll be fine. You're my beloved son after all, she said with a grin, which Naruto replied with a small smile. We love you so much. We're proud of you and always will be, said Minato with matching grin of his wife. Now, go Naruto. There'll nothing from this place soon. Leave now, he said now, as he was taking his last breaths. But, Naruto tried to argue, but the stern look of his father shut his mouth. Leave now, Minato ordered as he spat some blood. The earth around them starts to shake. Naruto did as Minato said and left the place with tears in his eyes. After some time he heard an explosion and stopped for a second. He turns to see even bigger smoke. Then the rain starts to pour and Naruto's hair covers his eyes as he wipes his tears. After some time he arrived at the place where he was training with his parents. He got a quick flashback before looking for a rock with seal. It took him only a minute. Like his father told him, he draws a little blood to the seal. For a second it glowed before rock faded and stairs to the underground appeared. He walked down on the stairs as his every step was making an echo. A good minute later he found himself in the large stone room. On the walls were hanging various weapons and scrolls. What gets Naruto's attention was a big war fan with 3 tomos on opposite sides. He then moved to get a better look and saw a corridor with few doors. Naruto decided to open one of the doors that had his name on it. Once they were open, Naruto saw a single bed with desk, wardrobe, a chest and a chair. It was simple room. Blonde-haired Uchiha saw a letter on the desk. He took it and read it. Again he was crying. In the letter was everything about Shinobi history. About their lives and everything he needed to do to get stronger and control the power inside of him. There also was a big red scroll just next to the desk. It was a special scroll. If he would sign it, the toads would help him anytime, but he needed to train the summoning jutsu. Or by luck, if he signed, some random toad should appear. They also explained to him why they moved every 2 or 3 years. They were immortal, they didn't age, aside from him now. Someday he would stop aging. Mom. Dad. I'll promise that I'm going to keep this world safe. No matter what, nothing is going to stop me, he said with determination before he felt some dark chakra coming from his stomach. He gulped once he heard a sinister voice inside of his head. Are you sure about this? End of chapter. Chapter 2. Chapter 2. Naruto. Shinobi. Disclaimer. I don't own Marvel, MCU, or Naruto series. Let's get started. I'm glad that you liked the first chapter. Chapter 2. Demon. Naruto Mind Space. Young Uchiha Senju felt enormous evil chakra coming from his stomach. It was the first time he ever felt that kind of fear. Truth to be told, once on the trip to new home, they were in ambush by some bandits. He was about 4 at the time and he was quite scared, but the aura around his parents helped him to calm down. They quickly dealt with bandits and they went back on the track to new home. But this, whatever this was, it definitely was something else. The most sinister thing on earth. He slowly closes his eyes as he felt on the ground, unconscious. Suddenly Naruto found himself in some dark room flowed with water to his ankles. He then used chakra to stand up on the water and got a better look at his surroundings. On the stone walls were various round metal-shaped objects driven into the walls and coming from them. Keep in mind that Naruto is still a kid and his parents didn't tell him everything regarding Shinobi world, only stories. He only knows that chakra is real and they are the only who can use it. Also, I'm not good at history, so if there were pipes at that time or something close to them then let me know. I know I can check, but I don't really want to T_T. Blonde yet again felt a dark presence, so he turns to see a giant gate with kanji for a seal. What is this? He asked anxiously about it. Then he gulped as bloody red eyes appeared in pitch black gate. Then sudden wind start to blow around the room, knocking Naruto out off his feet. What an intense chakra. Then sinister voice from before spoke to him. So, my hoster decided to pay me a visit, huh? Voice asked as the red eyes narrowed their glance at blonde Sharingan user. Cut the chakra in your eyes. I hate this damn Sharingan. At that Naruto own eyes winded. He looks down at water mirror to see that his eyes changed to red color with two tomos. Naruto then nodded before cutting chakra out of his eyes. After that, they returned to their natural blue color. Good, now answer my question. Are you sure about this? That you can protect the world all by yourself? Voice asked as the red eyes start to rise up. Then from the dark cage appeared giant nine-tailed fox, who was the source of the eyes. You may have the scrolls, weapons and everything regarding the shinobi world, but can you truly protect this world from anything and from itself? I'm not sure, he replied, and Fox was ready to snort, but then Naruto looks up at him with determined eyes. But I'm sure as hell that I won't know unless I'll try. That's why I'll do whatever it takes to protect what my parents entrusted me with. They've told me that they are proud of me and that they love me. I won't let them down, and I'll never give up. This will be my nindo. My ninja way, he exclaimed as he released his own power within him. Fox rose his eyebrow and smirked. K, he's your child Kushina. Like mother, like son. Or was it the opposite? Screw it. But this look in his eyes. As if I'm looking at grandpa himself. Who knows? I guess there is no other way, but to teach him a few things. Without a teacher, he might kill himself with some jutsu. I ain't a teacher, but this toad will definitely help this brat. Though Fox as he scratched his chin. Then he laughed, confusing Naruto. Ha ha ha. Well, I guess there is no other way. I'll be your sensei for a while. But before that, remember the night stories that your parents told you when you're younger? Eh? You mean stories about Shinobi world? He asked, still confused. Fox would have a lot of work with him, but since he also was immortal they had plenty of time. Yup, they real kid. Everything that your parents told you is true. At that blonde gasped in awe, and you have a potential. You come from two most powerful clans after all. Not only that, but your bloodline is stronger than other members of these clans. Your parents were both heir of the clans and great-grandchildren of the strongest clan heads. Hashirama Senju, also known as God of Shinobi, and user of both Senjutsu and Mokuton, the wood release. He could create the endless forest, which once he did, before some stupids humans cut those to make houses. Madara Uchiha. A damn bastard, but the strong one. With his Sharingan, he could defeat any army by the single glance. He had strong fire attacks, which destruction was compared to a god. So you have even greater potential than both of them since you are both Senju and Uchiha. Add to the blood from Uzumaki and Sarutobi and you'll be a god on earth. That's just. I don't know what to say. Naruto never felt so proud of his family lineage. Since he didn't know about it. Wait. You'll become my sensei? But why? We just barely met and I don't even know your name, he asked as Giant Fox sighed. There are two reasons. First, without a teacher, you might kill yourself with some jutsu. At that Naruto deadpanned, but nodded. It was true. Second, there's something different about you. Like I know you for quite a long time. Anyway, I'll tell you my name. Keep in mind that I've never told your mother about it, so feel privileged. Now Naruto's sweat dropped, but nodded. It's Kurama. Before I'll end our training you'll be calling me Kurama-sensei, understood? Once again Naruto nodded. Good. Now go get some sleep and tomorrow you'll sign the contract with Toads. I'll show hand seals after that. Better be at 100%, because I won't go easy on you like your parents, he said with a sinister grin, as Naruto starts to fade from the room. Back in the real world, Naruto woke up and slowly pushed himself off the ground. He then stood up and sat on the bed, while shiver went down on his spine. Why do I have the same feeling like when mom told me about training? He thought, before realizing something. Oh, that right. My parents died not long ago. Did I really forgot about it this quickly? After training, I had to go back and get them a proper burial. Even if there is nothing left of them. With that, he leans on the bed and for the first time, he will sleep in a new place alone. The United States of America, College of William and Mary Virginia, 1781. Currently, Naruto was at the lecture of one of history professors. To be honest, Blonde quite bored, as he knew everything about history. He lived every era of this world up to now. But then again, there were other subjects in the college, which were more interesting. You may be asking, how somebody of his look can just sit with other students without the problem? Well, Naruto was just using a simple henge no jutsu. He was wearing white pants with black boots and brown coat with matching shirt and tie. His features were quite simple, brown long hairs, blue eyes and cheeks without his birthmarks. Naruto was looking at the doors to the class. His friend Humphrey Marshall wasn't in the class, which worried him. It was one of the favorite subjects after all. Besides, he never stayed in the home or anything like that, even when he was sick. It was difficult to get him out for drink or party. But he was a good person, who was enjoying his time with his friends, but that was before he went to collage with Naruto. For the love of God. Where are you, Hump? He thought with worry. Hump was his best friend, beside from his cousin John. After his parents' death, Naruto barely left the mountains, only to gather some food and learn was going around the world. He was always training with the help of shadow clones. But Kurama told him not to rely on them and slow his training a bit. He was already master in jutsus of his elements. Naruto obviously had a fire, since he was an Uchiha, and Sarutobi, water and earth with lighting from his father, and wind, which was his original. He had all of them. He was Seal Master level 6 and he had the almost identical strength of his grandmother, Tsunade. Naruto still had a hard time with medical ninjutsu, but he could heal wounds. He quite good at casting genjutsu, but only with Sharingan, which evolved into matured form. Also, he was able to recreate flying thunder jutsu, but for now it was on the smaller scale. He still couldn't teleport to another mark on another part of the globe. Where he was lacking was shinobi battle experience, but he had one serious battle with Yin Chakra of Kurama. Yes, after centuries Yin reformed and shaken the world a bit. Naruto still had the long way to properly control Yang Chakra, so he had to relay on Senjutsu. After signing the contract, a toad came and took Naruto to their realm. Once there he found out that toads that taught both her mother and Jiraiya the toad sage in Senjutsu arts are still there. Fukasaku and Shima very much alive but very old. They took place of great toad sage Gamamaru after his death. They were very happy to meet him and sad at his loss. They trained him with help of Gamabunta great-grandchild Gamafusu. In a single year, he mastered it without much problem. So he battled Yin on the ocean while trying to get to India. It took him about a half of a day. Then he sealed Yin into his seal, and after some talk with Yang, Yin agreed to fuse again and help Naruto in protecting the world. Once fusion was over, Kurama was pretty much the same, only his fur was a bit darker. I just hope those stupid bullies didn't nag him again. Maybe I should get out? It's nothing special about this lesson, he thought, as he cast genjutsu around him, made a shadow clone and prepared to teleport away. Then he heard his professor saying about Christopher Columbus and how he founded America. Hey. I was me who not only saved him and our group from Yin Kurama but also took them to a safe place. Where the hell is mine credit in here? All his telling students is a lie, he shouted in his mind, before flashing away. Williamsburg, roof of some random building. Naruto appeared just second later on a roof and looked down at the people walking around. Some children were playing tag or hide and seek. Elders were sitting and enjoying peaceful aura in town, while others were either working or on shopping. He smiled and then thought, okay, now let's locate Hump. With that, he closed his eyes. It was quite difficult to find him. After few seconds he felt him, but his chakra was very faint and slowly fading. His heartbeat skipped. No, this can't be. He then vanishes and went to where his friend was. Second, later Naruto found himself in alley. He saw the familiar bullies that were nagging Hump for money, but thanks to the fact that Naruto was barely letting Hump walk alone to collage, bullies were keeping their distance. Naruto quite scared them last time they'd tried something stupid. But now, they were grinning like madmen and were laughing. He heard one of them speaking. Naruto asked Hakubo, "See Marshall? If you only gave us the money, you wouldn't be dying now." Ha ha ha. At that Naruto eyes winded as he saw Hump lying on the ground in the pool of blood. A traumatizing memory appeared in his mind, but he shook his head and sunshine behind Bully's back. One of them, who spoke, turned and smiled. "Oh, if it isn't you, James?" he asked James, which was Naruto's fake name. Young Uchiha Senju didn't reply as he punched Bully away. After that, Naruto went to Hump, kneeled and performed medical ninjutsu on him. The other bullies went to their boss to check on him, but he throws them away. "Damn you. Why the hell is this?" he asked as he saw the green light coming from James's palms. "Is he a wizard or something?" "No, Hump doesn't give up on me," he shouted at his friend. Hump was barely holding to his life. He had various wounds from the knife and he was bleeding very fast. Naruto was trying all his best, but nothing seems to work. He already closes the wounds, but Hump lost too much blood already. There was nothing he could do. "No, please don't. I can't lose another person like this. You're like the brother I've never had." It was true. Naruto knew since Hump was about 12 years old. From that point, they always stick together. He never bonds like this before and now he was losing it. Why? Why was this happening again? Then he felt that somebody touched his arm. It was Hump. "Hump, please don't move. It's too late. I just wanted to thank you for everything." At that, tears start to fall from Naruto's eyes as they slowly changed to Sharingan, which was still spinning. Hump couldn't see properly, so he didn't saw a change in his eyes. "The only thing I regret is that I won't become the lawyer. I don't regret anything anymore. I lived a good life. Thank you, James, for everything so far, but that's the end. Please have a good life for me." Those were the last words from Hump. Naruto starts to shake as tears couldn't stop falling from his eyes. They were still spinning until they changed their pattern to red rain in the middle with 3 scythe blades connected to each other and the rain. It's Obito pattern. Then Naruto dropped his henge. He was about 14 years old in build and blonde's hair were now reaching his neck. "Aarrghhh," Naruto screamed at the sky. "Oi, don't tell me he's crying? Haha, pathetic." Boss laughed, while others followed. "Hold on, what happened to his body?" End of Ost. This is bad. Very bad, thought Kurama as he felt his chakra being forcefully drawn from him. Damn. I can't cut the chakra flow. Curse this stupid seal. Naruto, calm down. Are you even listening to me? But Naruto wasn't responding. He breathing very quickly and red chakra was surrounding him, which scared bullies. The wind was blowing around them and 2 were knocked off their feet. Dark clouds formed in the sky as Naruto body started to shake even more. Naruto asked Tomoji, "What is he?" yelled other bully. "A devil?" asked other one. "Then we have to kill him," shouted the boss who leapt with the knife in his hand. Suddenly blood-red chakra dome surrounded Naruto, which sends boss flying backward. He landed on some barrels, dear god. Red dome then exploded revealing a monster, which body was made from blood like the river that was flowing. Monster also had 4 tails and fox-like ears. Slowly Monster turns his head 360 degrees toward them. They literally pissed their pants from killing intent coming from the beast. Aarrgghhg. Then Monster shouted, sending a shockwave around him, that shattered wooded buildings around him. They tried to run, but Monster's tails went after them and they pierced their stomachs, killing them in second. People around started to scream as a red-skinned demon appeared in the middle of their town. Beast white as snow eyes were penetrating people's souls, but a few soldiers hopped on their horses and prepared their weapons to fight with this monster. One soldier dashed with his horse and tried to pierce Monster with the blade of his rifle. But Demon saw that and grabbed the blade and lifted soldier. He sends his sharp tail and pierced his chest. A monster then gave a sinister grin and pierced soldier with his tail. Women's and children around screamed in horror as soldier spat his blood at the demon. Then Monster felt the barrage of bullets coming from other soldiers, which make him snort. Around Monster's head appeared red and blue spheres and they gathered together and formed a big purple ball, which he ate. Then he leaned back a little and shoot a red beam from his mouth toward the soldiers. They jumped away just in time to avoid the attack, which hit and exploded town hall of the Williamsburg. Monster narrowed his eyes at the town people and soldiers, before spreading his arms and tails, expanding them and sending them toward people. In just mere second human life were ended by the demon. Then suddenly something was hit demon head. He stopped and turned around to see more people trying to fight with him. His arms and tails returned to him, as he leapt to building the roof and then jumped high to the sky and turned toward town. Another series of blue and red spheres appeared and was slowly forming an even bigger purple ball. End of Ost. Naruto Mindspace. Naruto Ost Miso. Blonde Mind was shaking violently, as wind and red chakra was blowing around Naruto body. Kurama tried so much to cut the chakra flow, but nothing worked. Naruto's negative emotions were even stronger than Kurama power. If he wouldn't stop his Jinchuriki, there will be nothing from this town. I didn't accept that you won't be able to cut your own chakra furball, said feminine inside of Kurama Gate. Giant Fox recognizes this voice. His eyes winded as he saw Kushina looking at him disappointed. She was dressed in their Uchiha attire back from the war. Kinda like Sasuke, but without the rope. Kushina? But, you're dead, he exclaimed in shock. Wait for a second, did you? Yeah, I'm only part of her chakra. I'm like sealed shadow clone in your seal. She replied shortly. We have to stop Naruto together 9 Tai. I mean Kurama. You could tell me about your name, you know. Anyway, I'll talk to Naruto, while you'll drag your chakra back, got that? K. Don't say the obvious, he replied as he clapped his hand together and closed his eyes. Kushina nodded and she moved toward her son. Naruto, it's me, your mother, she shouted, but her son didn't reply. He was simply looking down as his eyes glowed in dark red color. Damn it. He's not listening, her son was whispering to himself while looking blankly at the water. Why did this happen again? Why, he repeated. Kushina was just a meter from her son and she could barely hold herself. With a quick move, she grabbed Naruto's coat and dragged him from the dark chakra. Kurama was finally able to start taking his chakra back. With that, dark chakra vanished and both mother and son landed in the sewer water. She hugged him, as he finally realized who it was. Mommy, he asked with tears as his mother nodded, but how? How can you be here? Shish. It's okay, sweetheart, she said lovingly. Everything will be okay. Listen, I'll leave soon, so I want to tell you something. At that, Naruto broke the hug and looked at his mother with fear. Please don't leave. I've missed you so much, he begged. I've lost you and Dad. Now my best friend died because I wasn't strong enough. Why is this happening to me? On top of that, I've killed innocent peoples, he shouted on top of his lungs. I've missed you too. Listen to me, Naruto. It wasn't your fault that we died or your friend. It was us who were not strong enough. You couldn't possibly know that this will happen. What we entrusted to you was a legacy to protect and save as many people as you can. Doesn't necessarily mean everyone. There will casualties and you have to know this. It wasn't your fault that these people died nor Kurama. It was those negative emotions that were controlling you. She explained to his son as he looked at his mother. What should I do to control them? He asked, as his mother wiped his tear, getting a better look at her son's eyes. They were like hers. You have to keep getting stronger. Meditating also helps. Other than that is to find love. She replied with a warm smile. Now it's my time to leave. Look at my eyes, Naru-chan. She then shifted her regular Sharingan to Mangekyo. Naruto stared at her as she whispered, Koto Amatsukami. With that, Naruto closed his eyes and fall on her mom body. You know that your genjutsu won't last long, said Kurama as her body slowly started to vanish. Yeah, but I believe that Naruto will have better control over your chakra and his emotions, she replied as he leans her son on the water. Then she walked to cage and ripped tag for seal, beside without. Seal, it should easier. With that, she used the key and opened Kurama cage. Take control of his body and leave this place. Okay, she asked. Kurama nodded. Also, help him find happiness. Kurama. With that, her body exploded into sparkling light before vanishing. End of Ost. There will even more work with you, huh? He said and took full control over his real body. Real world. The monster was still high in the air, but the ball that he was making was absorbed by Demon himself. Then Demon landed on the roof of the building, which was still intact. He glanced at people who were still trying to attack him, but he let out a mighty roar to scare them off. People run away and Monster dashed out of the town. As Monster dashed, rain poured above Williamsburg. With roar in distance, lightning flashed and everything went white. Chapter 3. Chapter 3. Naruto. Shinobi. Disclaimer. I don't own Marvel, MCU, and Naruto series. Let's get started. Also, I'm sorry that my grammar is bad, but English is my second language and I don't use anything else than writing fanfictions. I'll try my best to make it better. Chapter 3. Soldier. Steve Rogers wasn't a popular guy in New York. Hell, nobody knew him, aside from his best friend Bucky and some bullies in Brooklyn. From his childhood, he wanted to be a soldier and serve the USA. Just like his father, but he was rejected. Let's just say that his physical fitness, strength and overall body shape were not in soldier qualifications. His friend, Bucky Barnes, invited him to Stark Expo, where Howard Stark was showing his new inventions and prototypes. Alas, Steve wasn't interested in it, nor in the ladies that Bucky also invited for a date. So he went to another exhibition about the history of USA soldiers. As he was walking around, he bumped into someone, which made him fall on his rear. "I'm so sorry," he apologized. As Steve tried to get up, he saw a hand in front of his face. "It's nothing," Ben replied. Now as he was getting up, Steve took a better look at the man. The man was about 20 years old. He had short, spiky blonde hair, blue eyes and 3 whiskers like marks on each cheek. His attire contained brown pants, black shoes, white shirt and red tie. "If you excuse me, my friend is waiting for me." After that, man left and he never saw him again. Then Bucky found him and tried to pull him back again into the date. They got into argument about being a soldier and what it meant to two of them. Little did they know that somebody was listening to their conversation. A man in his early 60s. So Bucky decided to back to the girls, while Steve went back to his apartment. Another day, he had to go for another screening. As Doctor was about to end the screen, some nurse came from curtains and she whispered something to Doctor's ear. The doctor said to Steve, "Wait here. Is something wrong?" asked confused Steve. "Please don't leave." That was all he got from Doctor. Feeling something fishy about this, he stood up from the bed and sit on the chair where next to it were his shoes. Then from the curtains came a young man in soldier attire. Just second later from the curtains appeared man in his early 60s, dressed in a brown coat, white shirt with brown tie and gray pants with black shoes. After he came a familiar man who was wearing a long black coat, white shirt with black tie, pants, and shoes. It was the same man he bumped at Expo. "Wow, you've chosen the same guy as I did, Abraham," said younger man with a grin, which surprised older man dubbed as Abraham. "Oh, so that's why there is nobody else from Steven then, hey? What a coincidence, don't you agree with Naruto?" chuckled Abraham. "Can't argue there. Well, Steve, you want to be a soldier and kill Nazis, huh?" asked Naruto with a genuine smile. "Excuse me? What's going on?" Steve asked back. Sorry about this, Steven." Abraham apologized. "My name is Dr. Abraham Erskine. I'm working at the Strategic Scientific Reserve." With that he gave a handshake to Steve, who glanced at Naruto. "Well, you can say that I also work there, but also in the military. My name is Naruto Uzumaki. You can also call me by the nickname, Shinobi," he said, grinning while giving him a handshake. "My name is Steven Rogers." He introduces himself and then asked, "Where are you two from?" "From Queens, and before that I've lived in Germany," Abraham replied while going through some papers. "So, I've lived in many places around the globe, but right now I have the apartment in Manhattan," Naruto replied as he was examining Steven, which was awkward for him. "And where Mr. Steven lives, New Heaven?" Abraham wondered while Naruto glanced at him. "Don't make kid feel uneasy, Abraham," he lectured his friend, who rolled his eyes. Steve was confused as to why he was called by kid a kid. He might look like that, but he really was 24 years old. "What do you want from me?" asked Steve as Naruto gave him thumbs up. "You want to know what got me interested? That no matter how many times you're rejected, you still didn't give up and was trying harder and harder," he replied. "You didn't answer Naruto's question. Do you want to kill Nazis?" Both men looked straight up at Steven, while was still confused. "Is this some kind of test?" he asked, which almost caused Naruto to laugh. But he was able to hold himself. "Yes," Abraham replied. "I don't want to kill anybody. But I don't like bullies, no matter where they came from," he said seriously, which caused Naruto to smile. Steve didn't know that sometimes that no matter how much you want to avoid it, someday you might kill someone. But he liked his way of thinking. "We have many big bad asses on the battlefield. Maybe we could use someone who's smaller," said Naruto as patted Steven back. "We can give you a chance, But we won't promise you anything. With that, they were about to leave but were stopped by Steve's voice. I won't take this chance. I'll do whatever it takes, he said with determination, which caused both men to chuckle. Where are you from, Steve? Asked Naruto with the same determined look. From Brooklyn, sir, he exclaimed with a salute. Glad to hear. Naruto said with the same salute. We'll see you by end of the week. Camp Lehigh, week later. Steve was, along with other candidates, waiting for both colonel and officer of the Strategic Scientific Reserve. Few people were talking to each other while Steve was patiently waiting. He only saw familiar faces in form of Abraham and Naruto. Rogers still had a strange feeling about Naruto. Some candidates were glancing at him with some type of disgust. Naruto had his hands behind his back and was humming some music he never heard of. It 9 opening of Naruto Shippuden. Recruits, attention, came a British female voice. Then a beautiful woman dressed in officer attire came with another soldier who was holding some box. Gentlemen, I'm Agent Carter. I supervise the whole operation. Where is your accent from, Your Highness? Mocked one of the candidates. I thought it was American military. What's your name, soldier? Agent Carter asked. Gilmore, miss, he replied with a snort. Come here. Put your foot forward, she ordered him. Wrestling's, huh? He asked. I have a few good moves, he added with a wink. And for that, he punched straight in the face, by none other than Agent Carter. Gilmore was easily knocked off his feet, before quickly getting up. Agent Carter. This time male voice came behind Agent Carter. She turns to see Colonel Phillips getting out of a car and walking toward her. Colonel Phillips, she greeted Colonel with a salute. I see you've already started training, he said with a tiny smile. Then he started walking back and forward while talking to candidates. General Patton has said that wars are fought with weapons but are won by men. We are going to win this war because we have the best. Colonel paused as he saw Steve. He then glances at both Abraham and Naruto. Blonde was smiling from ear to ear, while Doctor was looking at the sky. Men, and because they are going to get better, much better. 1 week later, it was 7 a.m. in the morning and Naruto was leading his squad around the camp course. They were running about an hour and Blonde was bored. Come on ladies, we've barely made 40 laps, he complained, while silently whining. We still have 50 more laps to go. Where does his stamina coming from? I'm dying here, thought Steve as he barely could catch a breath. Squad stop, Naruto shouted and they stop. Everyone was taking deep breaths while blonde Jinchuriki sighed. Then Naruto pointed a mast with the flag on it. See that flag? It means that we're only on the halfway. The guy who'll bring me the flag will go with Agent Carter. At that almost entire squad was trying to get the flag down, by either helping each other or throw another person away. Nobody got this flag for about 17 years. Okay, that enough. Let's back to the formation. Everyone stopped at their futile task given by Naruto. Everyone aside from Steve. Steve simply walked to the mast, took a few parts and mast fell down. Then Rogers claimed the flag and walked toward Naruto. Well, I would be damned. 17 years and only one guy found the answer. He might be the person that I'm looking for. Just a little more. A little more. Thought Naruto as he grinned. Well, Rogers, you may go with Agent Carter. Good luck, he said with a wink, which made Steve blush a little. Sometime later, 2 hours later there was a session with Agent Carter. Currently, they were doing push-ups. Steve could barely do 5 and some were already about 40. What's the matter, ladies? Hurry up, she rushed them. My grandmother had more strength than you. On the other part of camp, near Steven training session, Naruto, Abraham and Colonel were walking past and reviewing the session. Are you two still thinking that Rogers was a wise choice? Asked Colonel with a snort. Absolutely, it's a clear choice, replied Abraham while adjusting his glasses. I wasn't protesting about bringing him here. You had your reasons, but, he glanced at Rogers, to choose him of all people? Oh, don't be like that Philly, Naruto said tiredly. Even I think he's a good choice. Don't call me Philly in here. I have a reputation, you know that, he whispered to him while looking around. Reputation thanks to me. Remember who pulled your ass from World War I? Thanks to me you still have your leg, he retorted as Colonel sighed. Fine, fine. I'll give him one more test. But, if he fails this one, I'll choose who'll take part in your project. With that Naruto clapped his hands and they went closer to Carter session. Only a few knew the secret about Naruto, not his full story or anything. Only the things that he's stronger than any human and wasn't aging at all. And that he had superpowers. I'll cry if I keep watching this. He whined as the group was doing a jumping jack. He then took a grenade from the box near him, took the lid and throw in the middle of the group. Grenade. With that everyone jumped away and hide behind something. Only Steve leapt and covered grenade with his mere body. Everybody get back, Steve shouted. After few seconds nothing happened. Rogers moved away and stood up. False grenade, Colonel exclaimed. Get back to training. Was that another test? Steve asked while nobody replied. Evening, squad room with Steve. Steve was alone in the room, while other members of his squad were eating by a campfire. He was packing his things since he was chosen to take part in the special secret operation to make better and stronger soldiers. As he was packing, Steve felt somebody watching him. He turns around and saw Naruto leaning on the doors. Hey, Steve, feeling a little scared? He asked while crossing his arms. A little, sir, he replied, and Naruto waved him off. We're alone, you can call me Naruto. Blonde Jinchuriki said as he leaned forward and walked to the near chair. Then he sits down and took a small breath, before looking straight into Steve's eyes. You have some question, right? Yeah, only two, Steve said as he sat on his bed. Feel free to ask, I'll do my best to answer your questions, he genuinely suggested. Just, who are you? You can't be a normal human, right? At Naruto's sweat dropped, before laughing. What's so funny about this question? Your age and range in here are suspicious after all. Ah, I wondered when you'd ask me that, he replied with grinning. You're right, Steve. I'm not normal. Far from that. Steve gasped as he saw Naruto's eyes changing from ocean blue to bloody red ones with 3 comas. Some would call me a demigod or inhuman. If you have a power that can change the course of this war, why are you here? Steve asked, clearly mad at Naruto. I'm actually already on the battlefield. That got Rogers confused before Uzumaki made the cross sign with his fingers and poof of smoke formed next to him. Steve almost fell from the bed as he saw the copy of Naruto next to the original. Steve meet Shadow Clone. A copy of me with all my abilities, but with a limited power source. With that clone poofed away. If you can create those copies, then why not stop this war already? Steve yet again asked. Do you realize how many innocent people are suffering in this war? I would end it, if it would matter, Steve. I may have young body and spirit, but I'm an old man. I've lived thought 100 wars. One ended, another one started. If I would stop war within a day, showing everything I got, people would be afraid and show hatred toward me. Not because I've stopped them, but because I'm a godlike figure. Most believe that there is only one God. Tell me what would happen. After few seconds of silence, Naruto decided to continue. I'll tell what would happen. Another war, but this time on the bigger scale. Every country that would want my death would join forces and attack America. And what? Would I just kill them all and show that I'm nothing more than a monster? I've killed many people in my life and I'm already living with regrets. I don't want to weight my burden even more if I can avoid it. Besides, I've already set free slaves of this war. Haven't you heard anything from newspaper? At that, Steve dropped his head and shook it. Another thing I want to tell you. If you still think that just because you don't want to kill and you'll never do that, then I'm sorry, but you're naive. I would try to avoid it if I could, trust me. But sooner or later, you'll find yourself in a situation where there's no other way. Some people say that first kill is the hardest, which is true. But after some time it gets easier. Well, that's not completely true. It's never getting easier. Every time I've killed, I wondered if a person I've killed was someone's father or husband. You never know who are you killing and how much pain you cause to his close ones. That's the worst part. But that's how this world works. You have to understand that, Steve, and accept that. He explained as he leans forward and patted Steve's shoulder. So what your second question? Why me? He asked, feeling better a few seconds later. Let me tell you something before that. As you know, Dr. Abraham is from Germany. He is genius and the good person. Before this war, Hitler wanted him to help his country to take control over the world. But he rejected the offer and another man was chosen. Johann Schmidt, also a genius scientist and head of the organization called Hydra. Just like Hitler, he was interested in magic and Germans' myths. Trust me, a simple man dealing with only part of my power without any training over it would get himself killed or worse. But for Hitler, those were only legends, which he loved to spread. In Schmidt's case, it becomes science for him. He believed in hidden power left by gods on our earth that Abraham founded. Can't argue there, since I've come upon artifacts from time to time. Schmidt wanted this power so much that he almost killed Abraham to spill everything he knew. That where I came and saved Doctor from the bullet. It was my mission to save and take him to America. This mission was given by Colonel and Doctor himself. After what Schmidt witnessed, he wanted to become superhuman like me. Abraham created a serum, which Schmidt injected into himself. But the serum wasn't safe and there were side effects, he explained while Steve nodded. Did he become strong? He asked curious, which caused Naruto to smile. Yeah, however not as strong as me. But there was a cost, he replied. I'm going to be injected with this serum too? Steve asked a bit nervous. Yes, but now it's saved to use. It's way better now because Abraham used part of my DNA to fill missing component. At that Steve raised an eyebrow. Hey, cheer up. We're going to be brothers. That's nice, I guess. But will I have? You know, he asked pointing at his eyes. Naruto chuckled before he turns his Sharingan off. No, don't worry. With Abraham, we selected only genes from my father's side. Anyway, back to what I wanted to say. I want to create a team of people with abilities that no normal human has. Since tomorrow you'll be injected with superhuman serum, I want you on my team as my right hand. Steve, you'll be the first one on my team. To protect the world. He exclaimed proudly. To be honest, my parents entrusted only me with this task, but now I know that I can't do this alone. If there is the chance to bring peace to this world, then we'll find it together, sir, Steve said, and Uzumaki shows Rogers his fist. Let's then bump our fist. I want you to meet someone before I leave. Steve wasn't sure what Naruto words meant, but he did as Uzumaki said. Don't worry, he's a nice guy, but he likes to scare people, hey. Suddenly they both found themselves in the beautiful forest. K. Why did you bring him here, Naruto? Asked deep menacing voice from above. Steve fearfully looked up to see giant fox head with red slitted eyes. Is he sick or something? Look at him, ha ha ha. Kurama, don't be mean to him. You're scaring him, snapped Naruto, sending some calming aura towards Steve. I'm sorry about him. Because of the lives here, Kurama is bored. True, it wouldn't hurt if you could let me stretch my legs for a while, he whined while Uzumaki chuckled. You know that it's still unsafe for me to release you. I'll be weak as hell after that, he retorted while scratching his head. Never seen a fox, only in books. Steve muttered while looking at 9 swirling tails. But foxes don't have that many tails. As you can tell, I'm not an ordinary fox. I'm the 9 tails, strongest of all tail beasts, he exclaims proudly. 9 tails? Tail beasts? What is he talking about? Asked Steve confused. Explaining that would take an hour, so let's save it for later. Okay, Kurama, we'll leave, good night. With that, they've returned to reality. Now 2 things before I leave. First, I'm not going to take part in tomorrow's project. I was assigned to rescue mission. Second, I want to explain you one more thing. Our job is to save as many people as we can. It doesn't necessarily mean everyone. There will casualties and you have to understand that too, got it? Yes, I think, he replied while Naruto nodded. Good night, Steve. See you later. After that, he flashed in the bright yellow light. Okay, I'm not going to get used to it, Steve said to himself before turning lights off and going to sleep. Tomorrow was the big day. This day will change his life forever. End of chapter. Hope you like it. Please leave reviews and favorites. Chapter 4. Chapter 4. Naruto. Shinobi. Disclaimer. I don't own Naruto or Marvel, MCU. Let's get started. Chapter 4. Captain. Hydra Factory, Europe. Naruto sitting on the rock in meditating position, surrounded by large trees. Blonde Jinchuriki had a great view of the Hydra Factory from there. Everything was so calm that Naruto couldn't hear nature itself. Finally filling his sage chakra, he stood up as his frog-like eyes glowed in the dark. Blonde was dressed in black suit with 4 symbols of his clans. On his back he had Uzumaki symbol, left shoulder Uchiha symbol, the right should Senju and Sarutobi on his belt. He had arms guards, which were reaching his elbows with fingerless gloves. There also were black combat boots, black hidden leaf headband, his mother Kunasagi sword and a black face mask. The whole factory was a large structure 100 kilometers long wide and 200 meters in height. Around factory were about 30 tanks, 4 helicopters and about 5 trucks in total. I sense about 300 Hydra soldier, 210 from outside and 90 inside. There are about 43 of army. Kurama, there were 90 soldiers, right? He though sadly, as Fox noted. Oh well. Nothing I can change anyway. Let's get moving. With that Naruto, throw his Hiraishin kunai toward near group of soldiers. Quickly flashing to the marker, he hides behind black metal boxes. Now then. It's barely 6 a.m., so mist is normal in the forest, right? He thought with a smirk. Kirigakure no jutsu. Suddenly a very thick mist appeared out of nowhere, which confused enemies around. What is this? Where this mist came from? Said some soldier of Hydra. I don't have an idea, Lucas. I can only hear your voice, so stay on guard, replied another soldier. Yeah, like that's going to help you. Naruto retorted with a sigh, before dispelling his Sage mode and activating his Sharingan. Within few seconds, thumps could be heard around the whole factory. As Naruto was standing on top of the factory, he dispelled his just revealing all soldiers on the ground in pools of the blood. He shook his head before he morphed his Sharingan to Mankyu, Kamui. Slowly he starts to sink into the roof. After a second he landed on the floor with 2 guards noticing him. As they point their guns out, Naruto throws 2 chakras enhanced kunai. Kunais cut through soldier's neck like a hot knife through butter. So far so good, he said to himself as he yet again sinks into the floor. This time he sank quickly because he didn't want to waste time for guards. Finally, he reached the prison cells where an American soldier was kept. Naruto only saw about 10 Hydra soldiers on his left. He smirked before throwing Hiraishin kunai towards them. He then processes to slash them while teleporting. A soldier who was behind the bars cheered at the sight of their savior. If it isn't the loudest unpredictable foxy boy, said a male voice with a chuckle. Blonde snorted, but chuckled either way. The big bad Shinobi, right? Oh, did I just heard the best military pilot, who can't even properly shoot from a gun? Shinobi retorted while turning to the source of the voice. Jack. Fury, right? Now that was mean. You know I've been training a lot. Now get us out of this, would you? He asked, while Naruto took the key and set free every prisoner. I've expected you. I even made a few bets with my friends and guess who wins? You. Anyway, what happened to those who didn't make it? He asked with a tired voice. Jack looked down for a second before looking back at Naruto. They're tortured, beaten up or experimented. That I've heard, but what really happened? I'm not sure. But they'll pay, he promised with anger in his eyes. I see. I'll take those who are not in shape to fight. You and others should end your revenge quickly, said Naruto as he made a few shadow clones. Original then took one person on his shoulder. And why is that? Jack asked confused. Because I want to rip this place to shreds, he replied gravely before flashing away. I'll pay twice to see that, he said with a smirk, before taking Hydra's soldier gun and dashing to the upper level. Sometime later, outside a factory, Naruto was standing at the factory, while rest of the soldiers were waiting behind him. They were kinda nervous about what he might do. They knew about him, but only as a legend. So all decided to stay quiet since no normal human would believe them. Finally, Jack walked to blonde Shinobi and decided to ask him something. Are you going to do something? Naruto turns to him and smiled. Yeah, I'm just unsealing the seal on my body. Give me a second. Naruto long ago decided to put on himself restraining by leaving only chakra worth of typical Junin. His original chakra was on Biju level and without Kurama inside of him. The chakra was bordering onto the power of Shukaku, better known as One Tail. He could only unseal the seals with help of Kurama. All of you take few steps back. As he said, all went back about 10 steps back, while he went through series of hand seals. Tiger right pointing arrow snake. Mokuton. Jukai Kuden. Suddenly everything starts to shake violently, as trees were rising from the ground. Then Naruto stretched his arms and pointed at the factory. As their creator ordered them, they went forward and began smashing the factory to the bits. After a minute there were only pieces from the factory. But Naruto decided to cover his track by using Doden Jutsu, with simply devour everything into the ground. Once that was over, Blonde once again used his Mokuton bloodline to only create new trees. Everyone was gaping like a fish from the awe. He was like a demigod on Earth, which kinda made them scared. "That was something, Naruto," said Jack, while sweating a little. "You've never shown this before. But it looks amazing, I guess." Fury wasn't sure how to describe it, but Naruto knew about his feelings thanks to Kurama powers of the sensor. He knew what others were feeling, fear, but sooner or later people would see what he can do. There was no mistake, better show some people portion of his power. "Yeah. I just couldn't stand the fact of how many of your friends died, because of Hydra," he replied, still angry. Those words somehow made people around feel a bit easier around Naruto since he just like them felt anger toward damn Hydra. "Now then. Let's get back home." With that, he created shadow clones and used his Kamui to teleport soldiers back to USA military. Back in USA, Abraham funeral. It's been 2 days since Abraham death. During the Project Rebirth, he was sought by Nazi spy, who almost stole super serum. He was stopped by Steve with his newfounded powers and better-shaped body. Naruto was quite devastated by the news. He was so angry that his chakra was leaking out, so it was visible to anyone. Now Naruto, Steve, Carter, and Colonel were at the funeral. It was a sad day and even heavens were crying. Everyone aside from Naruto said a few words because Blonde wasn't sure what to say. When Williamsburg was rebuilt and his mother Kotoa Matsukami wore off, he decided to come and visit Hump Grave. Even then Blonde wasn't sure what to say, so he decided to stay quiet. "Are you sure you don't want to say a few words?" asked Steve, while Naruto nodded. "I don't know what actually to say." "Hey, let's do something tomorrow," he replied with a tiny smile. "Like what?" Steve asked curiously. "Training and other stuff, so you can fight properly in front of the lines." Then Colonel came and looked at Naruto. "I don't think it's worth to train him. I've agreed to let him take a part on the project, but nothing about sending him to the battlefield." "You're more than enough, Naruto." Blonde only sighed. "Don't train him, since Rogers already has a new job as a star." "Maybe you're right. Oh well. Steve, let's go to the bar and get some drink." With that two start to walk to enter the graveyard. "Let's speed up a little." At that, they began taking faster steps, which confused Colonel. "So, you're not going to train me?" asked sadly, Steve. "What? No, of course, I'm going to train you," he retorted as Steve raised his eyebrow. But Colonel said. At that Naruto simply waved him off. "Screw him, like I care what he's saying. Besides, he owes more than saving his fat ass back at World War I. Naruto said, as he grabbed Steve's shoulder and flashed away. 2 months later. "Still nothing about Rogers and Naruto?" asked Colonel, while going through new strategy with upcoming battle. "No idea, Colonel. To vanish in the war just like that. What were they thinking?" Agent Carter was quite mad at the two. "Rogers is the only one who can help us recreate the serum. We slowly running out from what he gave us 2 months ago." Suddenly a whirlpool like a vortex appeared next to them. Carter was on alert while Colonel snorted. "I just hope they not this mad, Naruto," said Steve as he came out of the vortex. He had a blue shirt and brown pants with black boots. Rogers also had a beard. Then after him, Naruto appeared. "What are you talking about?" he asked with a grin. "You don't have to worry. I handle Carty." Then shiver went down on his spine, as he felt a hand on his shoulder and dark aura from behind. He slowly turns his head while sweating heavily. He smiles weakly at Carter, whose eyes were burning, literally. Hey, Carty. "How are you?" How I am," she repeated twice while crushing Naruto's shoulder, which makes Colonel chuckle. "You two left like nothing happened for 2 whole months. How could you leave and take Rogers with you? We have war going on, you know, right?" "Well, I still left few shadow clones," he muttered, which caused Carter to start to beat him up comedically. "Do I look like I care about petty clones?" With that, she punches him so hard that she sent Naruto flying. After a second he landed on his face in the mud, while twitching. Everyone was looking at the scene with snickers, while Naruto tried to raise his hand but Carter shouted at him. "Get up and don't try to talk to me. I don't want to hear your pathetic excuses." With that Naruto quickly rose his body with a terrified expression. "Yes, ma'am," quickly standing up, he salutes to Carter who sighed. If it comes to men's, they listen to him, but with womes, he listens to them. He's even worse than me with my wife, thought Colonel with the facepalm. It's good to see you again, Steven, said Carter, as she hugged Steve, which shocked people around. Steven wasn't sure what to do, but oh boy, he was blushing like a little girl. And his pale skin wasn't helping. Suddenly Carter realized that she was hugging Steve in public. She then broke the hug with blush and pointed at him. It's not like I've missed you or anything. I only happy that thanks your return, we can recreate the super soldier serum. So don't get the wrong idea. At that everyone's sweat dropped. Women, thought men's in unison. Anyway, what the two of you're doing? Asked Colonel as he stood up from his chair. Training. An awful lot of it, Steve replied with a shiver. Hey, you said that it was great, Naruto whined while Carter gave him a murderous look. So he quickly shut his mouth. Let him speak, Agent Carter, ordered Colonel, which made Carter sigh, but nod. Now, Naruto, what can you say about his skills? Well, his fighting skills are quite amazing. He about Chunin level in such a short time. Steve was also able to learn only basics techniques. The fact that he could unlock most of his chakra pathways is the miracle. He might even become better, once war will be over, he explained cheerfully, while Carter, HMPFED. That caused Naruto to gulp and sweat again. Overall, he's ready to fight on the front lines. At that Colonel nodded. Glad to hear, but I'm not sure where to send him. He has no experience in real war. Beside, we sent most of our men's already. Suddenly they hear a scream, coming the truck. They saw a young man with a big wound on his stomach. What happened? The guy looks like he's been through hell, said Steve with concern. Because he and his unit been through it, or rather what remains of it. We sent about 200, not 50 got back. They've been captured by Hydra in Azano by Schmidt. That was 107 unit, she replied, which made Steve's eyes winded. Oh no. Bucky, he thought in horror. Can you give me the list of killed in this action? Steve asked Colonel, who sighed. Just one name, James Bucky Barnes. I recognize the name, but... He paused as military medic appeared and gave Colonel the list. No, he's not on the list, Rogers. I'm sorry. At hearing this, Steve dropped his head and grit his teeth. Then he looks up and turns his eyes toward the wounded soldiers coming from the truck. I guess we found ourselves a mission, Philly, said Naruto seriously while Steve nodded. On one these I'm going to kill you, Naruto. At that blonde only grinned before activating his Sharingan. Fine, but I'm not giving you any transport. I can get us something, said Carter with a smirk. Our pilot will be happy to see you again, Rogers. End of chapter. Hope you like it. Please leave reviews and favorites as follows. Ya nay. Chapter 5. Chapter 5. Naruto. Shinobi. Disclaimer. I don't own Naruto or Marvel, MCU. Let's get started. Chapter 5. America. Howard private plane. Night. Azano. Steve's face was twitching as he was looking at the pajamas he had to wear under a military jacket. He couldn't believe that what he would wear on his job to entertain kids. Also, this helmet was so bad. It barely fit his head. I'm glad that only you can see this, he whined. People would laugh at me. Don't be sad, Steven, said Howard as he glanced at Rogers with a smile. After this mission, I'll get you better one. Even shield. At that, Steve looked at the metal shield next to him and smiled. Maybe we should go through your mission again? Asked Carter, while looking both at Steve and Naruto. It's simple really, Naruto sighed and looked at Carter. Blonde then gulped as he saw familiar fire in her eyes. Okay, let's go through it again. With Steve, or rather Captain America, we infiltrate the Hydra base, rescue all prisoners, take everything that can help us with destroying Hydra and shred the place to pieces. At that, everyone's sweat dropped at the simple explanation. Sound easy to me, replied Steve, while scratching back of his head. But it's not, Carter countered. It's not like those bases that Naruto took a few months ago. This is the biggest base that we ever encounter. There are more soldiers than before. You have to be careful. Oh, one more thing. Take this transmitter and activate after you two are done. We'll drag back you from there, Carter explained while handing Steve the transmitter. Boom, you two should go. They've already spotted us and this plane cost a good amount of money, complained Howard as he was dodging the missiles. Once we'll leave, how about we go for some fondue, Agent Carter? At that, everyone deadpanned. Okay, Captain America. Let's head and kick some Hydra asses. said Naruto as he put on his face mask. After you, Shinobi, he replied with a grin. Then Blonde opened the doors and both jumped from the plane. They've jumped without parachutes, right? Asked Howard with a chuckle. Yup. Carter replied with a sigh. Hydra base. As you can see, Project Valkyria is going well, said Zola as both he and Schmidt was supervising the whole work around them. We should finish everything by the end of the month. Increase the production by 60% everywhere, said Schmidt in cold voice. I'm not sure if our prisoners can work like this. They're getting weaker, sir, replied Zola, with small fear. Then we'll get new prisoners, he snorted while glancing at shorter men. Zola's eyes winded as he saw that Schmidt's own eyes become red for a second, before returning to usual brown color. Get back to work, Zola, he added while leaving Zemo alone and angry. Outside the base, with Naruto and Steve, both were hiding in the bushes and watching the base from saving place. Carter was right about more Hydra soldiers. But for Naruto it was nothing. But he was kinda worried about Steve. It was his first serious mission after all. How are we going through of all these soldiers? I haven't expected this many, he asked while counting the amount soldier on the outside of the base. Don't worry, I have a jutsu for this problem, he assured his friend with grin and thumb up. Then he made a single hand seal. Kirigakure no jutsu. Suddenly thick mist appeared and blinded soldiers around. They yelled to stay on guard, while both friends smirked and disappeared in Shunshin. After few seconds several thumps could be heard, as the mist was vanishing. Both Captain and Shinobi stood next to each other while smirking. Lightweights, snorted Naruto while looking at death and unconscious soldiers. Steve still couldn't bring himself to kill anybody, no matter how guilty the person was. Let's move, Captain. With that, they went to one of the back doors and entered the base. They found themselves in the laboratory with few scientists and soldiers. They've decided to went with stealth and took few things from the table near them. Then they head to prison cells and Naruto killed 2 guards with his shurikens. Then both Naruto and Steve took keys from the guards and throw them to prisoners. One of them narrowed their eyes at the two and asked, "And who are you two supposed to be?" "Captain America, Shinobi. Nice to meet you," he said cheerfully. "Excuse me?" other asked. A few minutes later all prisoners were set free. All formed a circle around both Naruto and Steve. "Does anyone know James Bucky Barnes?" asked Captain America with concern. "Are there more prisoners?" asked Shinobi. "There is one medical unit and I don't know if he's still alive. I saw that guard took him to the west wing of base," answered a bit chubby man with ginger muscle and a hat. "I see. Captain, go and grab Bucky, while I'll take them outside for little fun," he said to Steve while grinning at soldiers who smirked at thought of the fight. Rogers nodded and left, while Naruto told them to follow him. Just as they got out, Naruto creates a few shadow clones to take out the first group of Hydra soldiers. After disarming them, he kills them and throws their weapons to escaping prisoners. He then saw 2 tanks heading towards them. Boar right pointing arrow Tiger Blonde went through hand seals and exclaimed, "Doden! Yomi Numa!" With that sudden swamp appeared on the way of tanks. Just as they were about to shoot tanks fell 2 swamps and second later exploded. He smirked before he saw that few ex-prisoners were surrounded by Hydra soldiers. Naruto leapt while going to series of hand seals snake right pointing arrow ram right pointing arrow monkey right pointing arrow boar right pointing arrow horse right pointing arrow tiger. Kaden. Endon. Then Blonde spat a fired bullet toward the group of Hydra soldiers igniting them in the fire. They screamed and fell to the ground and tried to extinguish the fire, but it was futile. After that, he heard footsteps heading toward him. He turns his Sharingan eyes to the left and saw incoming Hydra soldiers. He grinned and went into another series of seals dragon right pointing arrow tiger right pointing arrow hare. Sweden. Mizurapa. A water gushed from Naruto's mouth like a waterfall, which sent soldier flying. Then his hand erupted with electricity and shinobi throw needles made out of lighting. Chidori Senbon. Those needles killed the soldier by piercing their necks. Shinobi saw that few ex-prisoners were able to steal Hydra tanks and drive them toward gates. He smiled before he heard an explosion coming from inside of the base. He cursed and started to look for Steve. "Where the hell are you?" he thought, while trying to sense him. Steve was still on the base and he wasn't alone. There were 2 more people around him. So he decided to flash to him since Captain had his Hiraishin Kunai. Naruto quickly found himself standing next to Steve and his friend Bucky Barnes. "There you're, what the hell are you still doing here?" he asked, but Steve didn't turn him. "Oi, what are you staring at?" "That would be me," replied familiar voice in a German accent. He turns his eyes to Schmidt, who was standing with Zola on the other side of the bridge. His eyes winded in horror at the sight of the ruler of Hydra. It wasn't the fact that Schmidt instead of normal skin had a red skull. It was his eyes. "It's great to see you again. You gotta be kidding me," thought Kurama, who woke up from his slumber. "Also, this chakra. I guess that the circle never ended after all. No way, it's a lie. How do you have those eyes?" Naruto shouted as he narrowed his eyes at Schmidt 3 Tomo Sharingan. "Ah, you mean the Sharingan of the Uchiha clan?" At that Schmidt chuckled, which made Naruto grit his teeth. "After some time, once I took serum made by Erskine, these eyes awaken and I wanted to find more about them. So for next few months, I've been searching and found something in Japan. There were legends about people with Sharingan-like eyes. I found that there was a rich family with these eyes. They explained to me about what they found in the scrolls left by Shinobis. And here you are too, an Uchiha like me. Interesting." Suddenly something exploded next to them. "This is out, goodbye. I hope we'll see each other again sometime." With that, both Schmidt and Zola left. "Naruto, we have to leave this place right now," shouted Steve, while he pokes him. Blonde turned to him revealing Mangekyo, which caused Steve to quickly grab Bucky. They quickly warped into the vortex and left the falling base. All three appeared outside of the base. Naruto was still staring at the falling Hydra base. Steve and Bucky decided to leave him alone for a while. Naruto closes his eyes while clenching his fist. "Kurama, how is this possible? I don't understand. How could this happen?" thought Naruto as he opens his eyes, now his usual blue ones. "I think there is an explanation for this. Remember your mother and father diary?" asked Kurama, while blonde eyes winded. "So you mean," he punched near the tree, before leaning on it, "that you mother erased their memories about chakra, but not their visual prowess? It appears that some shinobis made copies of scrolls and hide them somewhere around the world," Kurama explained. "I just wonder if he's possessing the Mangekyo." At that Naruto shook his head. "That's not possible, Kurama. Only Uchiha tablet had information about Mangekyo, and another way to unlock is by killing your friend or by grief," he replied while reminding himself of how he unlocked it. "Still, there is the possibility. That way you should prepare yourself and Steve. Even though his chakra level is barely at high Junin level," added Kurama to warn Naruto. "Hey, still, want to rip this place to shreds?" he asked with a grin. Naruto replied with his own grin before he made 2 hand seals. He used his Jukai Kuden, just like before, and used Doden Jutsu to bury the place into the ground. "Let's get out of here," he said to himself as he starts to walk toward the group with hands on the back of his head. Back at camp, it's been about 3 days since both Steve and Naruto take a mission to rescue prisoners. There was no a single word from them. So it's been 3 days, Carter. Naruto should at least appear and say something. But nothing, said Colonel to Agent Carter, who was sitting on the table. She was kinda worried. Not about Naruto or these soldiers. She had a feeling that they're okay. It was about Steve. He might have this training with Uzumaki, but was that enough? Some of the people have more experience in a battle than he. Maybe she was being paranoid. I believe in them. They'll be back soon. Suddenly they saw soldiers around going somewhere. What's going on there? Wondered Colonel as both he and Carter went to check where their soldiers were heading. In the distance, both Captain America and Shinobi were visible, and behind were the bunch of soldiers and tanks that they stole. There were about 400 soldiers there and there. The soldiers on the camp made a big circle and were cheering at their return. The job is done, sir, said Captain with a salute. Everything went according to the plan, said Naruto cheerfully with a salute. Good job then, replied Colonel with one of his rare smiles. Naruto grinned while Steve smiled. Then suddenly Naruto was thrown away, which made him fall on his face. It was Carter, who wanted to see if Rogers was okay. Oh, thank you're okay, Rogers, said Carter in relief, which causes Steve to blush a little. What about me? Naruto whined as he stood up from the ground. Like anything can happen to you. she snorted while Naruto deadpanned. Point. He said in defeat. Some of these men still need medical treatment, so I'll be off. Added Sharingan user while making few shadow clones. You're late. Carter complained while poking Steve's shoulder. Sorry, I couldn't call, he explained while showing her broken transmitter. Then everyone starts to again cheer and clapping thanks to Bucky. Somehow Steve felt pride, but at the same time sad that Naruto wasn't included. Without his help, he wouldn't be here. End of chapter. Hope you like it. Please leave a lot of reviews, follows and favorites. Ya ne. Chapter 6. Chapter 6. Naruto. Shinobi. Disclaimer. I don't own Naruto or Marvel, MCU. Let's get started. Chapter 6. War Never Changed Part 1. Secret Base, London. A few days later after last mission, Naruto lost Nakama. News spread wide in the USA and other countries about Naruto and Steve saving 400 soldiers. Well, only about Steve, since Naruto wanted to stay in shadows. Steve was angry about it, but after a small talk with his teacher, friend, he comes over it. Currently, Steve was marking Hydra bases around Europe. Next to him was Naruto, who was looking at the map. There were a few bases in Europe, he didn't know about which confused him. Thanks to his own spy network, similar to the one that Jiraiya the Sannin had, he always was able to find what he wanted. But now blonde Jinchuriki was wondering why his friends never found those bases. Maybe the reason why was the fact that bases were under some town or city. If that was the case, he couldn't blame them. Toads always stayed away from cities or towns just like normal toads and frogs. Besides, some were not the typical looking toads that humans know, so it was safer for them. I'm not sure if I've memorized everything. I'm sorry, he apologized while Naruto patted his back. You shouldn't apologize. You don't have Sharingan like me, remember? He said knowingly, while Steve smiled weakly. He's right, Rogers. Nobody is perfect, he replied while glancing at Naruto, who chuckled weakly. Then she took the map and go somewhere, leaving the two alone. I wonder when she'll cut you some slack, Steve said while Naruto was scratching the back of his head. Don't worry about it, Steve. She's become bossy after earning the status of the officer. At that, Steve rose his eyebrow. She's your familiar? Asked Rogers, curious. He didn't know that. Well, you can say that. Thanks to me, she's the officer after all. You know, women are treated differently than men these days. At that, Steve noted. But aside from that, I also helped her in material arts. It was her dream to treat it equally like others. Her mother was. Or maybe I shouldn't say that. Anyway, after everything she's been through her life, she wanted to be something more, be important. He explained with a smile. So I don't really mind her being rude toward me. It's kind of fun for me. Besides, allowing her acting to the other men like he on the same level makes her feel stronger, proud, and it's pushing her forward. I feel that she has the potential to be strong, just like Shinobi's long ago. Even if she can't use chakra at all. Steve smiled at Naruto, who was now looking curiously at him. What? Do I have something on my face? No, nothing at all. But, you're truly kind person, Naruto. At that, Naruto chuckled. You think? Well, before my parents' death, my mom always told to be a good person. No matter what happened, no matter how horrible things will occur, never seek revenge or vengeance. Don't think that because you have power, you should control everything. That was your great-great-grandfather way of thinking. That what she said to me sometime before what happened to her and Dad. So I'm guessing you're right. Thanks, he replied while remembering his mother words. Anyway, how about we go to Howard and see what he can provide? Yeah, and after that, I need to form a team. I heard that some soldiers are still in London. Steve replied as they walked to the exit of the room. What about you? Will you join us? No, I'll pass. Besides, you should get experience anyway. But before you'll head out, I'll have to show and teach you a few things about Sharingan. End of Ost. A few minutes later. Ah, gentlemen, greeted Howard with a grin. It's good to see you alive, Steve. Now then, let me show the shields. With that, Stark proceeds to showcase of the shields, but Steve was interested in something else. There was another shield, a round-shaped one. Interested, Steve decided to pick it up and a better look at it. How about this one? He asked with a smile. No, it's still prototype shield from rare metal. Howard explained, which confused the two. It's made from vibranium, strongest metal around. A rare metal, you say? Questioned Naruto. Doesn't seem rare to me. I sense familiar feeling from that shield. He thought, before he heard Kurama voice in his head. It's chakra metal, Naruto. Few of your weapons are based on this metal. Back in the Shinobi world, it wasn't that rare, but after 4th Great Ninja War, it becomes very rare to find. I also think vibranium is better named for it. At that Naruto nodded, but decided to stay silent. Do you really want it this badly? Asked Howard with a smile. It's light and thin. I can bet it's very sturdy too, even if it doesn't seem like it. Stark chuckled at that but nodded. If you want it, then it's yours. Now, do you have anything in mind about your suit? With that, Steve put the shield down and took a paper from his pocket. He then handed it to Howard, who looks at it. Interesting. I'll be done by the end of the week, so, about 3 days. Anything else? No, I guess that's all. Steve replied with a handshake. Now, I still have an hour, before I'll meet up with the guys, so what do you want me to learn? Naruto asked Doka Shinjutsu. Let's go to some other room. With that, 2 men head to other room and sit on the chairs. Now, what do you know about Sharingan? Well, you didn't say that much about it, he retorted. Oh, that's right. He sweat dropped. Anyway, Sharingan is Ii-dojutsu from Uchiha clan. While user unlocks it, he's granted powers like better perception, copying, predicting enemies' movements, cast genjutsu on somebody, etc. Remember not to look at Uchiha eyes. It's difficult, but you can't do anything about it, he explained while activating his 3 Tomo Sharingan. Its power depending on each of Tomo. As you can see, I have fully matured Sharingan. Same goes for Schmidt. But there are 1 more stages of Sharingan. He then morphed his Sharingan to Mangekyu. You saw those before. It's Mangekyu Sharingan. With this stage I'm granted more powers, but let's leave it for later. There is a drawback to this stage. If I'll overuse it, then darkness awaits me. What do you mean by that? Steve asked. Blindness, he said gravely. Hold on, you've used a few times when I was with you. How much do you see? He asked worriedly. Don't worry. Thanks to genes from my father's side and to Kurama, I won't go blind that easily. Still, I don't see as good as before I've unlocked them, he said grimly while closing his eyes to open them once again, showing his natural blue eyes. There are 2 more stages, but you probably won't see them. The Eternal Mangekyu and the Rinnegan. So there is no point explaining further. You wanted to warn about its power if I'd cross my paths with Schmidt? He asked, knowing the answer already. That's right. Even though Schmidt has matured Sharingan, there is the possibility of him having the Mangekyu. I wouldn't be worried if he would only have 2 Tomo, he said while nursing his temples. About Mangekyu powers, there are 5 of them. Susanoo is ultimate protection. It takes the form of a warrior at full power, but you can also use some parts of its body for other things. For example, the ribcage for protection whole body, by using less chakra and arm to grab something far away. Amaterasu cast jet black flames, hot as sun, and nothing can extinguish them. They'll burn for 7 days and nights. Koto Amatsukami is a genjutsu that can simply brainwash anyone and create fake memories. Tsukuyomi is also a genjutsu, which allows you to trap anybody. You can torture somebody for hours inside of genjutsu, but in reality, it'll take only mere seconds. Last but not least, Kamui, which you already know. I can use it to teleport anywhere I want and enter my pocket dimension and become ethereal. At that, Steve started to gape like a fish, which made Naruto chuckle. End of Ost. That sound kinda scary, he replied. But if you say that user can get blind from using it, then Schmidt will know about this, of course, if he has Mangekyu. Naruto smiled and nodded. Still, if you encounter him, be careful since normal Sharingan is dangerous on its own, he warned while Steve nodded in agreement. Are there more Uchihas like you? Rogers asked while Jinchuriki sighed. I don't know how many are there. Maybe there are some even in here. He didn't know, he really didn't. Well, guess I'll head to the bar. See you later, Naruto. With that, Steve leaving Shinobi alone with his thoughts. A few weeks later, Captain America and his team proved themselves of doing miracles. Each mission ended in success. Steve also proved himself of being a great leader and comrade. His team wasn't lacking anything. They were able to do everything that Steve told them to do. One of them was able to place a bomb under Hydra truck without being noticed. There was one embarrassing moment when Colonel Carter and Naruto got a footage from the mission. Steve was looking at the map while checking his compass. He forgot that there was a picture of Carter in it. While Naruto was grinning like an idiot and Colonel smiling, Carter was blushing heavily and look away to only peek one more time. Their last mission was to capture Zola, the Hydra scientist, and deliver him to base in London. And they succeed, but with cost. Bucky Barnes, Steve's first and best friend, died. Right now Zola was in prison cell back in London. He was walking around his poor cell. Zola spotted a blood stain on the floor below the bed. Suddenly he heard doors open, so he turns around and saw familiar blonde-haired men with whisker marks on his face. Strucker knew his name, Naruto Uzumaki. He had a tray and soup with him. Naruto asked glued state, "Sit down," he ordered, which makes Zola flinch, but he sits down anyway. As they both sit down, Zola glanced at the soup. He actually never saw that soup in his life. "What is it?" Zola asked curiously. At that Naruto glanced at him and sweat dropped. "It's ramen," he declared proudly. "The food of gods themselves." And at that statement Zola's sweat dropped. "And in it?" Strucker questioned. "Noodles." He deadpanned. "Do you even realize how difficult it is to get ramens these days?" "I don't eat noodles." At that Naruto grinned. "Why?" he asked. "I've thrown up after them." At that blonde started to eat the ramen with glee. "What about cyanide? Also feeling bad after it?" he asked, taking a short break with food, which causes Zola to narrow his eyes at his soup. "You're not telling me that the soup." In response, Naruto eats some noodles and nodded. "Are you?" "I'm feeling great. I can't get sick from almost anything, trust me." With that, he finishes his ramen and hands Zola a paper. "You know each Hydra agent we caught always cracked the capsule, but you didn't. So, you want to live, right? Are you going to intimidate me?" he asked while finishing reading what was on the paper. "For important information, Armin Zola will be evacuated to Switzerland." HMPF. Like Schmidt is going to believe that. "He'll kill you anyway. You're dangerous to him," he said, activating his Sharingan, which caused Zola to gulp. "No one knows about him more than you do, and you've killed Captain Roger's best friend. So you need protection. You or Schmidt, there is no third option." He then allows his eyes to return to normal. Schmidt believes that he's walking in the steps of gods. Zola confessed with a snort. "Really? That's the new one," he retorted with dry chuckle. "I don't want to admit it, but I'm much closer to God any Schmidt will ever be." "Can't argue with that," said Kurama in his mind. "I wonder when he'll unlock those? Even without me with these eyes he'd be a god on earth," thought Kurama with a smirk. "He won't be satisfied until he'll take control over the world," Zola said seriously. "Not on my or Roger's watch," he replied with a smile. "Anyway, what's his target?" "His target is everywhere," Zola answered, which made Naruto snort. "I need to get Steve and rest back in here." Blonde though, as he stood up and left the cell. "We need to end this." End of Ost. Meeting room, London secret base. "Schmidt is nuts," said Colonel. "He thinks he's the god and wants to destroy half of the world. He'll start with the USA. He has incredible power in his hands," added Howard from his place. "If he'll cross our lines, then in 1 hour there will nothing from East Coast." "How much time do we have?" asked Carter with crossed arms. "About 20 hours from now," Naruto answered while everyone in the room gasped. Schmidt base is deep inside of Alps Mountains, 150 meters below them. "So what? Are we just going to knock on the door or something?" one of Steve's team members asked. "Why not?" asked Thought out loud. "That's exactly what we're going to do." "Okay, Steve," agreed Naruto with a smirk. "Let's do it your way." The Alps, later with Steve. Currently, Steve was making his way to Schmidt base. He had a small company of Hydra soldier going after him. They're easy to defect, so he decided to end this quickly. On his way, he was almost shot by a tank, but he was able to dodge the shoot and destroy it with hidden rocks in his motorcycle. Once he was done with the tank, it was time to deal with Hydra soldiers. Steve was able to fight some of them, but ultimately he was overwhelmed by them. Then they disarmed his and took Steve to meet with Schmidt. After few minutes, Steve was brought to a large room which was partially a laboratory. "Arrogant," came Schmidt's voice, as he appeared out of the shadows. "Americans aren't new to that term, but you mastered it completely." It was entertained voice that drove Steve to feel even bigger hatred toward the men before him. "But your powers are limited, you know. Didn't Erskine mention it? I know from him that you're crazy. That's enough for me," he replied with venom. "Oh well, he simply didn't saw my genius, that's all." he said with a chuckle. What was so special about you anyway? At that Steve snorted. Nothing, I'm a simple boy from Brooklyn. For that Steve got a punch to face and his stomach. He panted a little but chuckled. I can do this all day. Sure you can. He snarled while trying to put Steve in this so-called genjutsu. But it was futile. But sadly I can't. What's going on? I can put him in illusion, he thought before he heard something coming from his left. There were 3 soldiers coming toward the window on the grappling hooks. When they burst through the window, Schmidt tried to shoot Captain but he used Hydra Soldier as a cover. A soldier before him turned into nothing by ashes. It was time for Schmidt to leave as his minions were dealing with the enemies. Steve team was able to take in all Hydra soldiers while tossing Captain his shield. He thanked and head right after Schmidt. Then remaining team informed soldiers outside of the base to attack, with Naruto, Colonel, and Carter. Okay, guys, let's move, yelled Naruto as he jumped from the bushes and started to run in old Shinobi style. Everyone went right after him. Blonde Jinchuriki saw about 100 Hydra soldiers ahead thanks to his Sharingan. He made a cross sign and exclaimed, Taju Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. With about 40 clones poofed out and began a launch at Hydra soldiers. He led his clones to toy with these soldiers, while he heads straight at the closed entry before him. Naruto then sticks out his arm and the blue swirling orb appeared in his right hand. Orb was still growing until it became bigger than Shinobi head. After orb was fully formed, Blonde leapt and exclaimed, Odama Rasengan, with the front doors were blasted away. Let's go, he repeated to soldiers along with Carter and Colonel. I wonder if Steve is doing fine. They're moving through the base with fair ease thanks to Naruto and his clones. They've been exploring while looking for Schmidt and Steve. There was no luck since the base was huge, so Naruto decided to enter Sage mode and search for them. After few seconds, he sensed Steve just a few meters on their left. He said to everyone to follow him and they did. A good minute later they found themselves in a large hangar, where other soldiers were fighting with enemies. They saw as Steve tried to reach Schmidt plane, but it was faster. Next to them was Schmidt car and they knew what they had to do. While Naruto decided to stay and help soldiers, both Colonel and Carter hop into the car and went after Steve. As Naruto was finishing off, he decided to teleport right to Steve and help defeat Red Skull once and for all. He then quickly flashed only to find himself right next to a car with Carter and Colonel. His eyes winded in shock. What the hell? Why am I here? I'm sure that I was teleporting to Steve, he said out loud before he spots 3-bladed kunai on the ground. Oh no. Damn. Naruto, you can't teleport to Rogers? Asked Carter in fear, while Colonel nodded. Even without kunai, I still should be able to get to him. Truth to be told, Naruto still had a problem with signing people with seal. The seal was vanishing after a week or so. Blonde wasn't sure what he was doing wrong, but there still was Kamui. Naruto closes his right eye and searches for Steve. Naruto slowly starts to sweat. I can't. It's like something is blocking me. Kurama, help. I can't sense him either. Whatever is blocking us, it must be something on the plane, he replied. Don't try to do anything, Naruto. Just stay and kill rest of Hydra. Are you telling me that I should have bound him? He yelled at Kurama. You know it's their destiny, right? Fox asked. I don't care if they're Indra and Ashura reincarnations. You know that, he shouted back at Fox. Still, there is no point on trying. You should stay and keep save your soldiers. Like your mother told you before. You can't save everyone. I thought you know this already, Kurama said to his hoster, whose eyes softened a little. But it's difficult to leave him like that. I'm not sure if he'll survive this. Then again, you're right. I can't do anything at this point. I can't use perfect Susanoo either since I don't have eternal Mangekyo, Naruto thought while gritting his teeth. Peggy, I can't get to him. I'm sorry. At that, Carter looked down. We shouldn't lose hope. Once Captain Rogers will deal with Schmidt, we can help him get back right, he suggested while Carter looks up to him. So let's just. Suddenly everything starts to shake around them. Quickly Naruto got both Carter and Colonel from the car, which was falling down, to the airfield. Then giant metal arm rose from the pit and slammed down near their position. After that another one poop out and like previews one its slam on the airfield. Airfield start to shake even more violently as those arms were helping a giant robot to rose up. Imagine Iron Giant with Hydra-shaped head. So that the last project that Zola told us about. Titan, Naruto exclaimed. Maybe you'll deal with this, while we'll head back to base? Asked Colonel. Sure. With that both Carter and Colonel start to run back to base. A Titan seems just as tall as you, Kurama, he snapped. Yeah sure. Kurama snarled from the seal. End of chapter. Hope you'll like it. Please leave a lot of reviews. Also, this will the last chapter for now, because in Sunday we'll head with family to go on vacations for 6 days. So no updates on my return. Thanks. Ya-ne. Chapter 7. Chapter 7. Naruto. Shinobi. Disclaimer. I don't own Naruto or Marvel, MCU. Let's get started. Sorry for not updating, but I had a little vacation with my family. Anyways, back to the chapter. Chapter 7. Sacrifice and Lost. Naruto lost unkept hair. Naruto smiled once both Carter and Colonel were far away from him and giant Hydra Titan. Finally, there was something interesting that might him a challenge. There were many possibilities to fight with it. Sharingan user jumped away from the upcoming fist, which would crush any normal person. It was truly interesting seeing something big as Tail Beast. He wondered what could happen if Shinobi were still in the world and his mother never used Koto Amatsukami to wipe memories about chakra. Never mind that, because there was no time to think about it. What to use? Susanoo or one of Mokuton jutsus of Hashirama Jiji? Naruto thought as he landed on Hydra robot arm and dashed straight toward Titan's face. Maybe use Tail Beast mode? Asked Kurama as Blonde gasped and quick flashback came to his mind. He reminds himself of almost destroying Williamsburg in Four Tails stage. Because of that he lost controlled chakra in his feet and fell from moving arm. Don't tell that you're still scared of using beast mode? You mastered control over my chakra, remember? I'm sorry Kurama, but I still don't see the need of using it. Besides, I want to use my own strut, replied as his Sharingan morphed into Mangekyo. Susanoo, as he exclaims it, his body was covered in silver flames, which quickly formed into matching in size a warrior, A.N. Shisui Susanoo, but silver-colored. Susanoo punched Titan away while landing on the ground. Naruto quickly prepared his drill sword and pointed it at the Titan. Let us see what you're made of. Then suddenly Titan's eyes start to glow before they shoot a blue beam of energy at Naruto Susanoo. Raising his arm, Blonde deflected the beams back at Titan. The robot did nothing as his body wasn't affected by his own attack. Interesting, he wasn't affected at all. Also this feeling, is the armor made of chakra metal? Naruto thought before leaping at Titan with his sword to test if he was right. He decides to go with the head. Titan saw that and dodged upcoming sword, but Naruto was fast and used his feet to kick Hydra head away. Too easy. Wait, what? Suddenly 2 Hydra heads pop out from the robot neck. 2 heads. They're for real. 1 cut, 2 more take ups its placed. He thought, before landing and charging his sword toward Titan's shoulder. Titan turns his heads toward sword and catches with another hand. Blonde eyes winded at that. How could this robot hold his drilling sword? Titan used the free hand to catch Susanoo's arm and tried to make him fall. But Susanoo was standing firm. The two tried to push one another but in vain. Naruto smirked as Susanoo ribcage opened. Susanoo. Tsukumono. With that silver chakra, needles shoot from the inside of his body. This caused Titan to be pushed back. Naruto used his chance and pierced Titan's chest. But that didn't stop Titan as he pushes the sword back. Naruto decided to go with something else, so he raises his palm and 4 Magatamas appeared. Susanoo grabbed those Magatamas, while Naruto exclaimed, Yasaka Magatama. Then he simply throws them at the enemy just like normal shurikens. They've exploded upon the impact, knocking Titan off his feet. Got you. Now I'll finish you, Blonde exclaimed while opening his ribcage and preparing Magatamas on his hands. Koroborishan. Aim no Osor. With that, the rain of needles and Magatamas begin to pour on Titan, causing a large explosion. It was the matter of seconds before there was nothing left from the Titan, besides some left of pieces. With a sigh, he dropped his Susanoo and landed back at the airfield. Now let's head to Carter and Colonel, he said to himself, but burning sensation from his eyes stop him from teleporting. His vision becomes blurry before he used simple medical jutsu to heal his eyes. Damn my eyes. They bleeding. He complained while wiping the blood out. Kurama. How my eyes are holding. I've never used full Susanoo beside training. If you could try to use perfect Susanoo, which isn't possible for you, then you could lose most of your eyesight for a while. Kurama replied. In next few minutes, they should be fine. Use Hiraishin instead of Kamui for a while. At that blonde nodded and teleported away. End of Ost. Hydra base. Good you're here, exclaimed Colonel as Naruto appeared next to him. Yeah, what happened? Blonde asked. That plane was only part of the whole attack. Schmidt also sends assault boats, explained Carter, while Naruto eyes winded, they heading toward New York. Any more heading to other countries? Naruto asked while clenching his fist. No. The colonel replied with a sigh. Go and stop them now. With that blonde nodded and teleported away. Does anyone hear me? Suddenly came a voice from the radio. Carter knew that voice, it was Steve. It's me, Steve. I hear you, Carter replied with relief. With Naruto, New York. Suddenly Naruto appeared in the dock on one of the roof of the building. With his Sharingan active he looks up and saw that there were a couple of boat coming. He made 2 shadow clones and turned to them. You put the barrier. He ordered to first one. You put the genjutsu. With that his clones nodded. After few seconds he charged his sage mode to got better to feel on the situation. The real one went out and dashed toward the boat while running on the water. After some time, Blonde was fully able to see how many assault boats were on the sea. There was about 100 of them with about 200 people on each, which confused him. Why so many in one location? Well, they were planning on taking the world, but it was over the top. 20 would be enough to take whole America. Suddenly he stops a few good kilometers away from the boat. His eyes winded in horror as he sensed Steve's life force fading. Naruto slowly drops his sage mode as tears start to roll in his eyes. He closed them and gritted his teeth. Naruto asked Homoji. Forgive me, Steve. But I'll make sure that your death won't go in vain, he declared while opening his eye revealing Mangekyo. Kurama. Want to stretch your legs? He asked grimly and angry at the same time. Kurama only nodded and Blonde made Shadow Clone for Fox to take control over it. In second clone eyes become red with slits and whisker and fangs were more pronounced. Let's give them hell Naruto, Kurama exclaimed, while his skin was slowly taken apart and replaced by bloody red slowing chakra. Take those on the left, while I take the right, he replied while crossing his fingers. Taju Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. With that about 50 clones poof out and stood behind both Naruto and Kurama. Kurama slowly turns into 4 tails state and soon he was in 7 tails state. As they separated, the real chaos began. About 10 of Naruto jumped high in the air and waved series of hand seals before exclaiming. Kaden. Goenka. The soldiers who saw Naruto army spatting fireballs, either decided to shoot or hide from the fire rain. Those who jumped landed on the boats, proceed to kill soldiers either by using kunai or chakra-powered punches. Those who were outside of the boats used powerful jutsus to pierce boats or destroy their guns. One of the clones used Susanoo to use aim no osor on few boats at the end of their formation. 2 used Sweden jutsu push the boat and make seem like the water ate the whole ship. 1 used Doden jutsu to create 2 enormous rock formations that close in on the assault boat smashing into the pieces. After that everything collapsed into the water. 3 other used Mokuton jutsu, better known as Kutai Kuten, to create trees which caused 10 ships to sink at the same time. The real one was currently entering Sage mode, after turning his Mangekyo off. In his hand appeared big Rasen Shuriken, which he throws at the middle of the boats. Rasen Shuriken then expended catching about 18 boats and destroying them. Naruto then took a deep breath and prepared another Rasen Shuriken. He quickly glanced at how Kurama was doing. He could tell that Fox was enjoying his free time. Kurama wasn't using Tail Beast Bomb, cause it was too easy. Fox mostly used his tails to pierce boats or smashing them. It was fun for him since he was the force of nature. Naruto looks at the boats that tried to shoot him. It was pitiful. He jumped high in the air thanks to his clones busting him up. This is the last attack, he decided. Even if his heart still was in pain of losing a friend, there was no need to drag it. Besides, it wasn't enough to make him feel better or satisfaction. He throws shuriken without care. This time it was 2 times bigger than before. Jinchuriki wasn't sure it wouldn't cause the world's biggest storm in the history. But his clones were sure what to do. So they've made famous Hokage-level jutsu back from 4th Great Ninja War. Ninpo. Shisekyojin, they exclaimed, as 4 clones formed a square barrier long enough to contain 4 Biju bombs. Just as his attack touched few of the assault boats, Rasen Shuriken exploded and start to absorb everything around. That causes a huge tornado to form, as dark clouds formed around the barrier. For a second everything went white, while Naruto was slowly falling down. End of Ost. After few minutes everything calms down. You could see Naruto clones poofing away and original standing alone. Kurama was done with his part and he got back to the seal. "How are you holding up?" asked Kurama in concern. "Well, I'm holding up somehow, but it still hurts," he replied while looking at the sky. "But compare my pain to Peggy's is small." We both knew that there was something between these two. He explained to his fox friend, before adding, "Let's head back to Peggy and Phillips." 2 days later, Steve funeral. Naruto Ost Sengenbanba. "At first, I haven't believed in Captain Rogers," said Colonel, "but after he rescues those soldiers, everything changed. For the first time, I believed that we can destroy Hydra and we did in fact. But at cost of Rogers' life. He was a good and brave man, one of the toughest I've met. I hope he's watching over us and will protect us to the end of the war. Thank you." With that Colonel finished his speech. Next was Peggy. I knew Rogers for a couple of months, but I was able to see him as value comrade. The first time I saw him, I thought he was a joke, that was impossible for someone like him to become a soldier. But I was wrong. He paused, taking a deep breath. I remember if that was just yesterday that Colonel throws a false grenade. Everyone run for their life, but Steven decided to risk his life by covering the Grande with his own body. Then I knew, he was something else. He of all people I've met in my life was stronger. Maybe second strongest. He added while looking at Naruto, while gave tiny smile. Anyway, Rogers was a very important figure in this war. He was the symbol of peace and always will be. That's why we need to be strong too and end this fight. Thank you. Peggy could barely hold her tears and shaking legs. Next was Naruto. Steve Rogers was a good man and valued friend to me. When people get hurt, they learn to hate. When people hurt others, they become hated and racked with guilt. But knowing that pain allows people to be kind. Pain allows people to grow, and how you grow is up to you. That's how Steve became Captain America. At first, he hurt by bullies, but he had to hurt other people on the front lines. But he never could bring himself to kill anybody. He was truly a kind soul and strong soldier. He paused and looked at people around with determination in his eyes. He never gives in to the hatred. Even I can tell that hatred is spreading. We wanted to do something about it, but we don't know what, but I believe that someday the day will come when people truly understand one another. If we can't find the answer, it will be up to next generation to do it, he declared in strong deep voice. Thank you. With that Naruto went back to his sit and after he was a few more people to had something to say. After some time everyone left leaving Naruto, Peggy and Phillips. Naruto and Agent Carter, I have something to say to you, Colonel calls out. Yes, what is it? Asked Carter, who was wiping her tears. Government want to create a special organization to deal with situations like Hydra. They want you and Carter to join, along with me and Howard. He explained while handing them some papers. You have to sign them and report in next 2 days. Does this organization have a name? Asked Naruto curiously. No, not yet. Any idea for the name? At that Naruto looked at Captain America monument and smiled. How about the shield? He pointed at the monument, which also had a shield. Sounds good to me. Now let's sign those paper. Suddenly Naruto rips the paper to pieces, shocking both Carter and Colonel. What the hell did you do that for? Sorry, but I have declined it. The war is almost over, so you don't need me that much. But if you need any help I'll come. Yane, with that, he flashed away. I didn't expect him to join, retorted Carter with a sigh. What about Agent? At that Peggy looked at the paper and back at Colonel. You got me on board, Colonel, she replied with a salute. End of Ost. 2002, Sokovia with Naruto. Naruto was walking around the Sokovia for small shopping. There were many people around him either poor, starving or average citizens. The economy in Sokovia was pretty bad. Schools were too expensive, hospital was barely able to treat everyone properly. Food wasn't good or bad, but Jinchuriki was only buying seeds, cause they were good. He was living outside of Sokovia, in the woods like the hermit. He was wearing a black hooded cloak and under it simple black shirt with Uchiha symbol in front and Senju on the back. He had fingerless gloves, gray pants, and boots. Now he had a beard and long hair tied in a braid. Nothing new. Maybe I should do something about, he thought with a sigh. Then something was wrong. Naruto was sensing something coming, something bad. He looks around and hears only people trying to sell some stuff. What is this? Or rather where? Suddenly everything went silent as people stop and look up. There was a sound coming from the sky. Naruto active his Sharingan and saw that missiles coming toward the Sokovia. His eyes winded when people start to scream in panic and run for their lives. Blonde saw one missile coming toward the building on his left. Once they made an impact, the missile exploded, causing the building to slowly collapse. Naruto quickly creates shadow clones and send them around the Sokovia. Naruto's sunshine to the building and start to looking for survivors. He creates another shadow clones and sends to every apartment. The real one went to the last one on top. As he opens the doors, he saw a hole in the middle of living room. He sensed two chakra sources coming from the room next to him. Naruto also sensed something coming and building shook violently, but nothing exploded. Blonde sighed in relief and opened the doors to the room. He saw that ceiling was collapsing, so used Susanoo arm to hold it. He kneeled and saw two children under the bed. They were about 10 years old, probably twins. Both were having closed eyes and were holding their heads. Hey, Naruto called and children's eyes shoot open. They've looked at him with tears and hope of saving them. Don't worry, you too. I'll save you. Wait, the boy called. What about our parents? Mommy and daddy fell down, girl next to him called. Don't worry, they probably saved by my friends. Now come to me and let's get out of here. He yelled while trying to remain balanced in the collapsing building. Just hurry up and grab me. With that, boy took his sister's hand and grabbed Naruto's hand. Suddenly they found themselves outside of their building. Children look around confused before they focus their eyes on ruined home. Naruto asked nightfall. Where are mommy and daddy? Asked girl with tears. Naruto looks down and places his hand on her head. Don't worry, I'm sure. Before he could finish, both girl and boy run toward two of his clones with a man and woman in their arms. By the look on his clone faces and his sensor skill, he knew that they don't have much time. Mommy, daddy, are you okay? Asked girl, as Naruto clones were placing their parents on the ground. What is this? Does this guy has twin brothers? Boy thought, before rushing to his dad. Dad. Mom, are you okay? He looks at their bodies and saw that they had big wounds. No. Hey Pietro, Wanda. Called their mother weakly. I'm glad. You're okay. Then the girl dubbed Wanda saw her mother wound. Does it hurt? At that, Naruto got a quick flashback from his early years. He asked the very same question his own mother. Are you going to be fine? Not anymore, sweetheart. It was the same response from his mother. Slowly tears start to form in his eyes. I guess you saved them, right? Asked the father of the children. Blonde only nodded in response. Please, take care of them. They don't have anyone else. No. Dad, you'll make it, yelled boy dubbed Pietro. Pietro, your dad is right. Please take care of them, mother said to Naruto. No, mommy, don't leave us, please don't. I don't wanna, Wanda cried, while her mother rubs her cheek. Please, I'm begging you. I promise to take care of them. You can count on me, Naruto replied with firm eyes. Wanda, my little angel, I'm sorry, don't worry. This man will take care of you, mother assured her daughter. Slowly the light in her eyes was fading, before catching her last breath and smile for her children. Pietro, called his father. Wanda was hugging her mother, while Pietro was weeping. Stay strong and protect your sister, promise. I promise, Pietro replied while wiping his tears. I'm glad and proud of both of you. Goodbye. Those were last words from their parents and deep silence started for a few minutes. In the meantime, Naruto got info about that shoot those missiles. End of Ost. Howard. What the hell your son is doing? He though disappointed. Then he saw that both Pietro and Wanda fell unconscious by their parents' side. I've never been a father, but I promised them to take care of their children. Besides, they just like me. They need me. With that he took the two with him and flashed away. End of chapter. Naruto. Shinobi. Disclaimer. I don't own Naruto or Marvel, MCU. Let's get started. Chapter 8. New Life. Naruto house. 2 days later. Pietro felt somebody poking, so he opens his eyes and saw his sister with a worried look. He sits up on the chair and claps his cheeks to fully wake up. A young boy looks around and found himself and his sister in a room with table, 2 chairs, wardrobe, doors and some shelves. Big brother. She wept while hugging her brother. Where are we? I don't know, he replied to his sister, who gave him puppy eyes. But doesn't worry. I'm sure everything is going to be fine. With that, somebody knock on the doors. After 2 seconds, the person who knocked opened the doors and walked to the room. It was the same person who saves them. This time blonde man had his beard shaved, revealing 3 whiskers marks on each cheek. Wanda thought that those marks were cute. Aside from the men was dressed in simple black pants and white shirt. He also had a tray with some food on it. Oh, you finally wake up. Blonde said with a smile. I hope you're hungry because this time I've really tried to make something very good. Who are you? I only remember you saving us, mister. Asked Wanda while trying to hide her blush. Yeah, that's right. Where are we anyway? Asked Pietro. Sorry. I forgot to introduce myself. He apologized while scratching his head. My name is Naruto Uzumaki. Nice to meet you too. He greeted while putting the tray on the table. You too, mister. They greeted back. Call me Naruto or Oni-san, which means big brother. Calling me mister makes me feel old. He explained. Which is true, actually. He adds in thought with a sweat drop. Where or no? Asked Pietro while Wanda started to cry again. Eat first, then we'll go, okay. At that both twins noted. They jump from the bed and quickly eat their food. That was fast. Okay, let's go. Outside, a few minutes later. Naruto the last movie Ost New Breeze. Naruto and twins were standing in front of 2 graves. Both had their parents' names and date of their birth with few good word about the 2. Blonde didn't know anything them, but by the happy pictures of them and twins in their wallets, they're good people. Both twins started crying while dropping to their knees. I'm sorry for your loss, Naruto said sadly, while Pietro turns to him with anger in his eyes. Sorry. You don't even get to be sorry, he yelled at him. You don't know how it's like to lost your parents. If you could save us, why you or those copies or whatever didn't save them? At that temperature dropped, which caused both Pietro and Wanda to shiver. I don't know how it's like, huh? Don't make me laugh, he snarled while activating his Sharingan. Your eyes, called Wanda, while grabbing her brother's shirt. I know how it feels because they died when I was in your age. He explained, shocking the twins. Our parents died in almost the same way, you know. I had no one to raise. All I had to do by myself. So, don't act you know me better than I do, he said coldly to Pietro. Then he saw that Wanda was really getting scared, which caused his eyes to soft and turn Sharingan off. Anyway. Unlike me, you'll have somebody to look after me, as I promised your parents. At that, they look at him in disbelief. He was a stranger and still promised to take of them. I know that it's strange, but the promise is a promise. End of Ost. What is we're going to do now, Oni-san? Wanda asked while walking to Naruto and looking up to him. The stare she was giving him was too much for Naruto. I can't. Look away from those eyes. What is this? Blonde thought. What are you, a pedophile? Laughed Kurama. Kurama, come on, stop joking. Look at her eyes and say it again. He yelled at Kurama, who snorted and glanced at Wanda. What? I can't, that impossible. Her gaze. Fox thought with sweat rolling down his head. Okay, you won. At that Naruto smirked. Well Wanda. Have you and Pietro ever been on vacations? At that twin look at each other and back at Naruto. No, they both replied. Naruto claps his hands together and grinned. Do you want to see New York City? At that, they eyes winded. Really? You can take us there? Wanda asked curiously. Seriously? Do you even have a money for transport and other stuff? Asked Pietro, feeling something fishy about it. Naruto waved to come to him and Wanda. Boy raises his eyebrow and walks to them. Then Naruto put both of his hand on twin's head, which confused them. What are you do? Before he could finish, they all flashed away. New York City. Pietro finishes, as they found themselves on the MetLife building. Welcome to New York City. Naruto introduced the city with open arms. Then he heard a thump and looked down. Blonde Jinchuriki started to panic as he saw Twin on the ground holding their stomach, "Aw. Are you two okay? I think I'll throw up," whined Pietro, while Wanda nodded in agreement. "Sorry, forgot to mention that the first time is always the worst. I remember that I'd thrown up a lot back then," he explained while smiling sheepishly. "But it seems like you're better now. Can you stand up?" he asked them, and they nodded. "Is this really New York?" asked Wanda in disbelief. "Wow. How did we get in here, Oni-san?" "That was one of my jutsus, techniques which are like superpowers," Blonde replied with a smirk, as he saw awe in Wanda's eyes and interest in Pietro's. "You can have powers too if you want." "Really?" he asked, shouted. "Teach us." "Who? Are you sure? Because this will be one of the hell of training," he asked in a playful voice. "Please," they begged him with puppy eyes, and Uzumaki sigh in defeat. "Can't fight with that," he thought with a chuckle. "Okay, but under one condition." "What?" they whined, which caused him to snigger. "That you'll have a lot of fun on your vacation in here." At that, twin looked at each and smiled. "We promise," they exclaim with vigor, which causes Naruto to grin. "Well then, let's go shopping." At that, twins exclaim, "Yay," and they went to near shop for clothes. From that point they began their vacations. At least they won't think about their lost too much and get stronger together as a family. 2 weeks later, Sokovia. Naruto house. Suddenly there was a flash in front of the Uzumaki house. 3 figures appeared composing adult and young male and 1 young female. They had a few pieces of baggage with them, full of clothes and other stuff. Naruto, Pietro, and Wanda still had smiles on their faces after coming back to home. Naruto was dressed in white shirt, brown pants, and black shoes. Other than that, he had sunglasses, new watch, and hat. Pietro had a t-shirt with "Peace" written on it, black shorts, and pair of white sneakers. Wanda had a pink shirt with "Love Parents" on it, white skirt, and green shoes. Other than that, she had a watch and cat-shaped hairpin. "I hope you'd like the vacation," Naruto said as twin turned to him with smiles. "Because you won't get them until next year." At that, they gasped, which caused Blonde to chuckle. "Don't look at me like that. You wanted to get superpowers, right?" At that, they posted and nodded. They do want to have superpowers. Now, let me explain the schedule for next 8 years. First year, chakra control, training your bodies and mind. Second year, walking on the trees, water, and basic academy jutsus. Third year, taijutsu training and melee weapons training. Fifth year, more chakra control, finding out your nature elements and genjutsu. 60 years, combining all 5 years together. 7th and 8th year, everything you have done till 6th year but with double effort. And bonus, studying the world. With that, twins were gaping at him with disbelief. "I know it sounds terrible, but it's not," he assured with a grin. "Now for a warm-up, run around the house for 10 minutes. Now off you go, while I'll make some food." With that, he shunned away, leaving twins alone. "I guess that's the price for becoming super," complained Pietro as he starts to run. "I bet that Oni-san wants us to make strong," Wanda said while joining her brother in the run. "You sure like to call him Oni-san." At that, Wanda blushed a little while smiling. "Pietro, he's a good person and kind one. Oni-san does act like he's our big brother. Even you have to admit it." Pietro only snorted at that, but it was true. They did make the family like bond. They know he cares about them and now they care about him. "Anyway, I can bet I'll outrun you this time." With that, she starts to giggle and run faster. "In your dreams, sister." Then he speeds up to catch up with her. Naruto was watching them from the window with a smile, before going back to cooking. 8 years later, 2010, Sokovia. "Where are they?" Naruto wondered. "They should be here already. It's 2 p.m. School is over at this time," he added with a sigh. They were never late, so what was going on? He didn't have a clue. Many things happened during these 8 years. Tony Stark, son of Howard Stark, decided to repair everything that his weapons caused to people. In Sokovia, economy become better, but still far from perfect. And he was now called a superhero because he saved people as Iron Man from an attack of so-called Ironmonger. Both Wanda and Pietro showed to be a shinobi prodigies. They were able to quickly learn everything regarding shinobi skills. Wanda was about Junin level shinobi, with chakra level bordering on Kage level. She had 2 elements, Suiten and Futon. Her stats were pretty good too. Ninjutsu 4, Taijutsu 3, Genjutsu 8, Intelligence 5, Strength 3, speed 3, 5, stamina 4, hand seals 5. In total 35, 5. She also has bloodline limit, which was from Kurama clan. That was the reason for her high stat in Genjutsu, which with more experience could be better than Naruto's. Pietro was at the same level of her sister, with chakra on Kage level. He had 2 elements, Raiden and Kaden. His stats were just as good as Wanda. Ninjutsu 4, Taijutsu 4, Genjutsu 2, Intelligence 4, Strength 5, Speed 8, 5, Stamina 7, Hand Seals 5. In total 39, 5. Unlike her sister, Pietro has another bloodline limit, which was called the Jinten or Swift style. That allows him to move faster than normal Shunshin, and that was pretty much it. That was the reason why he could almost catch up with Blonde. But compared to him, it was nothing. Naruto, thanks to having Kurama in him and being from 4 powerful clans, gives him almost infinite chakra. He had all elements from Futon to Doton. His stats were beyond the 2. A.N. Full power, without using Kurama chakra, Ninjutsu 10, Taijutsu 9, 5, Genjutsu 9, Intelligence 8, 5, Speed 9, Stamina 9, 5, Hand Seals 10, Bonus Fuinjutsu 10. In total 75, 5. He has 2 bloodline limits from both Senju and Uchiha clans, which grants him Sharingan and Mokuton. Naruto Ost Homecoming. Suddenly the door opens, revealing the twins rushing to the room while taking off their bags. Pietro stood 5 feet 7 feet tall and had long dark brown hair reaching his neck. He was dressed in a black jacket and white shirt under it, green pants and blue sneakers. Wanda stood 5 feet 5 feet tall and had light brown hair reaching her waist. She was wearing a black shirt with "Rock" written on it, white skirt and pantyhose under it with pink sneakers. There was also a light summer makeup on her face, which was very visible. Also, she had D-cup S, which Wanda was hiding every time from Naruto if in pajama or swimsuit. Only Pietro knew his sister had a crush on Naruto, which was weird for him. Thought he never talk about it with Wanda. If it wasn't for the fact that Blonde was centuries old, he wouldn't mind even if it still would be weird. Naruto himself hasn't really changed, aside from the hairs, which were now short. "We're sorry for being late, but..." Before Pietro could finish, they heard a poof sound and saw confetti in the air. "What's that?" Wanda asked. "Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you." Naruto sang with his clones while clapping. "Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you, Wanda and Pietro. Happy birthday to you." With that, Naruto light up the candles and twins walked to the cake with smiles. "You really didn't have to, Oni-san," said Wanda with a chuckle, while Pietro noted. "Naruto, you did enough for us already. There is no need for that," Pietro explained while Blonde waved them off. "It's not like every day you have 18th birthday. You two are adults now," he replied while giving them sad smile. "Besides, it's the last time." At that they got confused, but Blonde saw that and gave them reassuring smile. "I'll explain after the party. Now go and wash your hands." They pouted and went to the bathroom. After few minutes the party started. The 3 had a lot of fun together. But everything ends at some point. Now was the difficult moment for Naruto. He wasn't sure how they'd react, but there was no other choice. End of Ost. Naruto Ost, man of the world. "So care to explain what you said before?" asked Pietro, while rocking himself on the chair. "Yeah, what's the matter, Oni-san?" Wanda was very confused about Naruto's words. "What did he mean by last time?" "What I meant was that I'm leaving." At that Pietro fell from the chair and hit his head, while Wanda's eyes became moist. "What the hell are you saying?" Pietro shouted at Naruto, who closed his eyes and took a deep breath. "You're leaving. Why?" Wanda slowly starts to weep, which hurt Naruto. "The 2 of you know everything about me. You know that I can't get too attached, but I've already done," he explained while walking to the twins. "I have to leave because I don't want you to get hurt or worst. Everyone who was close to either got hurt or died. It's been so long since I had a family like you and I don't want to lose you. That's why I'm leaving, but not forever. I'll visit you from time to time when I get a chance. Besides, I feel that something very important will happen and I need to be part of it. I'm sorry, but I have to do this." Then he felt that Wanda grabbed the fabric of his clothes. "Please, don't leave me and Pietro." She wept while wiping the tears in her eyes. "Please, I'm begging you." "Wanda, Forgive me, but I have to. You have to stay strong for your brother, me and your own sake. I found you and Pietro. The two of you show that you're brave, strong and kind. That's why I believe that you'll be fine without me around. Stay strong for me," he said while Wanda hugged tightly like she was seeing him for the last time. "I'm not leaving you forever, Wanda nor Pietro, so please. Let me go." After a few seconds, she let him go. They looked at each other and smiled. "Oh, I forgot about presents for you too." Then he took 2 boxes from beneath the table and handed them to the twins. Twins opened the boxes and familiar 3-bladed kunai, scroll and some blue card. "If you ever need help, just throw the kunai at the ground and I'll be in the flash," he explained with a chuckle. "Those scrolls contain more powerful jutsus. So you have to expand your chakra pool to use them without using all your chakra. About those blue cards. There are credit cards, so you don't need to worry about finding a job for a while. They have $4 million on each, so if you want there is new life waiting for you out there. That's everything. I guess this will be my goodbye then." At that twin walked to Blonde gave him big hug. "Well, then I guess we'll wish you luck," Pietro said while breaking the hug and slapping Naruto back. "Please be careful and visit us," Wanda said, with a tiny smile. "Sure thing. I would never forget you or Pietro. See you around." With that, he activated his Mangekyu and swirled away. "Stay safe." Those were the last word them heard before he left. End of Ost. "I guess you'll have to wait some time, until confessing to him, don't you think?" Pietro said with a grin, which causes Wanda to blush like tomato and throw kunai at him. "Baka, Pietro baka, baka," she yelled at him while waving her arms around to hit him, but Pietro simply held her head in place. Rendi's Donuts. Second later. Naruto Ost Naruto Daily Life. Naruto suddenly appeared inside of the restaurant with a bored expression. Why the hell Nick was here? He didn't have any clue. With a sigh, he heard a familiar voice. "Now who he got in here?" asked Nick with a chuckle, as he saw Naruto standing next to his table. "What are you doing here anyway?" Naruto Uzumaki reporting for duty. He joked. "I'm here to see what are you up to." "Is he real, Nick?" asked other voice. Naruto recognized the voice and looked to his right to see Tony Stark, in his Iron Man armor with a helmet on the table. "Better question if you're real." "I'm really, all right," Blonde retorted with a sweat drop. "Nick is here too. By the way, do something with that smell. I can feel alcohol even from here, Stark." At that Tony chuckled and took a sip of coffee. "Well, aren't you a cheeky kiddo?" Tony replied, while Naruto snorted. "If we are going to talk about kids, then you're the kid," he retorted with crossed arms. "We're able to secure the area, but we shouldn't stay too long," came a feminine voice. Naruto turns to see who was it and grinned at seeing a familiar face. "Nat, is that you?" he asked while preparing the hug. "It's been a while, Naruto. How are you doing?" Natasha gave a quick hug, while Tony was glancing at the two. "Huh, you're fired," Tony said blankly. "It's not up to you," she replied with shrug, which causes both Nick and Naruto to snigger. "That's my ice queen right there." Naruto chuckled and gave her thumb up. "Let me introduce you, Agent Romanov," said Nick, while Stark started to nurse his temples. "Hey," Tony greeted with a snort. "I am in SHIELD Agent Point by Nick Fury to look after you," she explained while taking her seat next to Stark. "I guess you won't apologize me for lying, huh?" Tony joked while all sighed. Blonde took his seat next to Nick and saw a donut on the table. He took it and started to eat it. "You've been very busy. Make your girl CEO, giving away your stuff and you let your friend fly away with your suit." At that Tony glanced at Nick and Naruto before giving long sigh. "If I didn't know better." "You don't know better," he took it. At that both Nick and Naruto's sweat dropped. "Wait to hold on. A little brother walk into your house and took your suit?" At that, he looked at Natasha. "Is that possible?" According to Mr. Stark database security guideline, there are ways to prevent access authorization, she explained while Nick facepalmed himself. "That's so pathetic," thought Naruto holding his laughter. "What do you want from me?" Tony asked with a snort. "Oh no, what do you want from me?" he asked, this time a bit angrier. "You're a problem, which I had to deal with. Believe it or not, but you are not the center of my universe. I have bigger problems elsewhere and you're taking my time." "Hit him." She pointed Natasha to prick Tony's neck. "What the hell was that for?" he yelled at Romanov. "Are you going to steal my kidney or something?" Please, could you not do anything for 5 minutes? You want him to get back to work? Blonde asked, getting the nod from Nick. What did she do to me? Tony asked, nursing his neck. Naruto saw black markings on Stark's neck slowly fading away, which caused him to close his eyes. What they did to you was to slow the effect of that arc reactor in your chest. Go back to work and find a cure for yourself. At that, Tony raised his eyebrow while looking at the blonde. Then he opens them, revealing his Sharingan, caused Stark to blink. But it won't be easy to fix. Trust me, I know everything I need to, but I've tried every element to replace this one, he replied while pointing at his reactor. Nice eyes, by the way. Well, then you haven't been trying everything, Nick retorted and smiled.